I mean, it's good. It's definitely gonna be muffled. I'm sure Discord isn't doing it any favors, but it's gonna be good.
Okay. I'm so close to this camera. I wasn't expecting to be this close, but I have to stand up. So now what? Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sonic Movie Show. We're live from the Bahamas. That's what it says behind us. It's the same day that we did all those streams. I'm still in the bean. I never took it off. Ever. No proof of that. And my name is Ethan. Over there, he's not in a bean. He should have been in the bean, is Devin.
What you see is what you get, which is a quote from
Big the Cat says that to Blaze the Cat because they were like, how are you a cat? You're like 5 times bigger than me. And he says that's why they call it. Yeah. Yep.
Close. Sonic said that.
To who?
In Sonic Adventure 2.
What? What you see is what you get. Does he say that to Eggman?
Yeah. This is Sonic's response to Shadow asking him, "What are you anyway?"
Oh, I see. Sorry,
I'm just a guy who loves adventure.
I do remember that line. I have to make sure I'm in
That's right
frame.
after it. Yeah.
He says that. Ugh. I'm fighting this microphone here. He says that before they do that boss fight at the end of the hero story.
Yeah.
Where they're
it's in the same.
Running.
It's in the same in the subtitle. It's in the same subtitle. It says, "What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure."
Oh, that's
get it? Because Sonic. That's like the equivalent of Sonic Adventure. He says Sonic Adventure. He says the name basically.
Right.
But not really.
Oh, but Shadow should have said, "I love adventure," and Sonic should say, "I'm just a guy who loves adventure too." Then you know what I mean. That would have been even better.
Yeah.
Hey folks, this is the Sonic Movie Show. I had a really bad thought, and here on the Sonic Movie Show, we respect. And this is sounding like I'm saying this as a joke, but it's true. We respect everyone, at least in terms of identity stuff. So if you're a furry, that's cool. But imagine being a furry and your persona is one of the Fall Guys beans, like an intellectual property. You know what I mean? my persona is SpongeBob. It's specifically so. It's really hot in the bean.
But doesn't. I mean, for any furries who are watching this, please educate me.
And
I don't
thumbs
know.
up.
I don't know.
It's cool.
I was saying, I thought though, furry culture comes from, is it in the same sphere or the same lineage of the bronies, where they wanted to be the horses? Because that's an IP. So I always, I guess in my brain when I hear a furry, I do think of an IP. But you're right, it really technically isn't, unless you're like, I'm Star Fox.
Every Nintendo fan's dream is to be Star Fox. Which,
by
the way, Star Fox, huge ripoff of the old 60s, 50s puppet show, television show, Thunderbirds. Because in the they were
Makes
puppets
sense.
in the manual of Star Fox and whatnot. I'm pretty sure. So, anyway, so anyway, just, I'm in the bean. That's the same day. It is Monday. Today is Monday. It's true.
It actually is Monday.
Yeah, it is Monday.
True. That is fact.
Devin he's in my apartment. That what you see behind him is actually my apartment. So if you ever see that backdrop again, it's my apartment. It's mine.
Yeah, if you happen to see this for the rest of potentially time,
you're gonna move out at some point. You're not gonna. Wait, it's your house. So yeah, you're probably not gonna move out.
Yeah.
It is the rest of your life.
I expect the world to collapse in the next 10 years, perhaps, where this show will have to go underground. So then maybe it will change the backdrop because we'll be in some bomb shelter or something.
Right.
Or we become a front lines journalism and we're right there. We're on D-Day 2 storming Alaska or whatever the battleground is.
I'm probably very quiet. I'm gonna have to boost this in post because the underside of the mic that's pointing down right now is the part that's taking in sound, and this has drooped so much. So
I mean, I'll say on Discord, like the Discord volume, which is like I can control a bit. It on my end, it's in the higher yellow, so I think it might be good.
You know what? Fine.
It might be good.
I'll take it.
We'll see.
Devin,
I might also have an echo going on myself, so this whole thing might be just sound like it was recorded in a spaceship.
Going on in my skull right now in terms of temperature variations and sounds, so like I can't hear it, but you know it also could be me. Devin, I know you wanted to make a Sonic game, and then I remembered while in the suit, while we're recorded, oh yeah, I need to have like stuff set up for that, so we're not doing that. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I figured we weren't doing that. No. How about this? You know, we just do a classic. You know, you're talking about original IP, and people, Star Fox stole, you know, Thunderbirds. We can steal what a lot of other people do, and we just do an episode where we shoot the shit. And I can start.
I can start. In the Bahamas.
Yeah, and that's what you would do. I mean, we'd be chilling on the.
I drink in the freezer. Hold on. You.
Bro, your cord is good on your arm though.
I can't go get the drink. I can't go get the drink. At some point, I'm gonna have.
There's a cup holder in there. I thought.
Yeah, a cup holder in the bean.
Couple cup holders in there.
Yeah, well, we found out that this bean suit after the stream, the Shenmue stream, does have feet holes, and I really wish I could stick my feet out because it's not necessarily sweaty down there by the feet, but like that uneven plastic with ridges is like getting uncomfortable to stand on after a while.
So there's no holes at all. I thought there was like little holes. But,
like an adult is gonna have to help the child get their foot through. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Because it's a kids one for people who have missed for people who are just tuning in randomly as their first ever episode. They're probably very confused, and I'm not going to explain any further. But yes.
For it technically, like their head is supposed to be where this microphone is. But my head isn't touching the top. But like if I stand upright, I don't see you right now on this giant television.
There was no way I was fitting in that thing. Like
I had scissors for a reason. I was
gonna be wearing it. That's what was gonna happen. Probably.
Well, the idea, because I mean, my legs are fatter than yours, are clogging up like the lag holes on here. So you're creating a seal anyway. I was just gonna cut with the scissors up the legs by the foot. You know what I mean? Up until your head had room.
Maybe I could get it up to my knees, and then it hopefully would just balance out. But
maybe.
But
yeah. So
shooting the shit podcast. I can pitch a thing.
Okay.
Because people love to be
I'm not gonna fidget with this mic. I'm gonna try to stand like this because I'm sure this is really annoying for people. It's just well below my chin where it needs to go, so I'm thinking I'm not audible, but I see it in
you
OBS
trust the
here,
process,
and you say I'm audible, so I can grab your audio of me later, which probably has less rubber on microphone sounds.
Maybe so. I will send that to you. But yeah, and a good shoot the shit podcast. Usually our lives are interesting.
Mine's interesting. I just can't talk about a lot of things, but.
I got really nothing too crazy. I'll say this, but when we were on the stream, I think I mentioned the stream, or at least when we talked last, I mentioned that I was on a quest for kettle corn.
Right.
And I did finally get some kettle corn. It took me just going back home and then to the Colorado Rockies baseball team, Coors Field. They had kettle corn, but yeah, my question to you is, wouldn't you expect, and like, I'm talking about, I went to the Hilton Carnival, which is where our hometown originally is.
Yeah.
There's a big carnival every year to raise money for the firemen's, but even just without that context, the fire department, not just the firemen, the fire department.
It makes sense. They're right next door to the field.
Yeah.
Or something of those.
Yeah, it's like the fire hall or whatever. But my question, without even that context, that like I knew going in, like this carnival, what to expect. But when you hear the word carnival, what are some of the foods that come to mind? Right? You have hot dog, maybe a corn dog.
Gross.
Hamburger.
Yes, probably.
Hamburger.
Fries in a paper thing.
Yep.
Oh.
Maybe a slice of pizza.
Fried dough. You know, like a funnel cake.
Fried
kind
dough.
of
There
situation.
was funnel cake and fried dough.
Okay.
I've never been a big fan of either. I hate to say it.
Cotton candy,
It
which is terrible.
makes me kind of
Really.
cotton candy. I don't know if I even saw cotton candy. Now that I think about it.
It dawned on me when I was a child. Cotton candy sucks because like it's just so water soluble. It's just sugar, so it melts instantly in your mouth. So therefore, you don't really get to taste much of anything.
I mean, it's more of the experience, I think, 'cause it's kind of a goofy looking snack.
I mean, I guess. So is
But
kettle
you know what
corn.
else I was gonna say? So is kettle corn, and at this carnival, the Hilton Carnival, in the past, I remember there being kettle corn. That'd be what I would get. So I went to this carnival with the expectation of getting a bag of kettle corn
Yeah.
that I would probably have to stuff in my suitcase if I didn't finish it to enjoy on another day. But I went there, and they had a popcorn stand, just your regular popcorn stand, and they did not have kettle corn. And the reason I'm mad, though, is because I feel kettle corn, we listed a bunch of other possible carnival food, but I feel like kettle corn is at least a kind of a staple,
Yeah,
more
because
times than not.
Because where, like, okay, hot dog, you can get that a lot of places. You know, just regular popcorn. You can get
Costco,
a lot of places.
yeah.
Well, you can get kettle corn at Costco too, but I mean, like, a place where you would buy food to eat right immediately, like a restaurant. You know what I mean? Like, all of those foods, maybe not fried dough, okay, but fried dough and kettle corn are like the two carnival-only foods, really.
Amusement park, even.
Yeah,
just
well,
like,
just like hey, it's a walking around food when there's a lot of people, you know, type of thing. And I didn't go to this carnival, the Hilton, as you called it, but I would have left immediately. I remember back. I think the statute of limitations is far away enough. Back when the registration of my car had expired, and I didn't do anything about it. And I knew that, okay, all it takes is a cop to be behind me to scan my plates and then pull me over.
Right.
I drove past that Hilton Carnival, and there was the cops, you know, like directing, like
a whole bunch of them,
buddy.
yeah.
But like they're not in their vehicles, so like it doesn't matter. But I was getting real nervous driving past them all. And
Yeah,
eventually
was
you get got. By the way, don't do what I did. You get got. It wasn't
You did.
that bad though.
You do,
Because if
rather.
you know how to talk, you can get out.
The only time I've gotten pulled over was for speeding, and he let me go with the speeding, but I was driving up to New York at that time from Maryland to get it renewed, and I wound up getting a ticket, which was like kind of the whole point. So it kind of felt like, man, I got like caught for doing the right. Like I was trying, I was trying to go renew it. Like I had to get it inspected.
Having a cardboard thing in your license plate holder saying, "I'm heading to DMV, I swear." Like, yeah,
I know,
but
it's
you
true.
don't need to take the car there. You don't need to drive in that.
I had to get my inspection done, so I did have to take
no,
my
I
car to
believe-
New York,
hey,
but
you know.
but
I've been pulled
yeah,
over for
yeah,
speeding
you're right.
twice.
But anyways, at the Hilton Carnival too, I didn't know this, but I guess it's always been there. Another staple of this carnival is the zoo. And it literally is. And I thought it was a petting zoo. Like I was like, oh, maybe there was. I don't remember, but maybe there was like some goats or that you could feed or whatever in the back. And this is in the corner. And there was a bunch of. I found out basically it's just a beer garden where the 21 and up can get in. So you just get ID'd and then you get in, and then like I don't know, booze is in like because there's no booze throughout the park up or in the carnival up until that point. But there's a bunch of cover bands there. So I watched a little bit of that.
Nice.
I didn't drink though, but I was more mad about just my kettle corn not being there. And I feel like a boomer, I guess, a little bit being like, I don't know. I just remember back in my day, this carnival used to have kettle corn, and now it doesn't. And I don't know what's happening in our old hometown there. I don't know who's in charge, but they did also have a RV or like not an RV, but like a box, but a moving box, a trailer, I guess, so to speak, but not like in the one that you haul like with like to go camping, a like actual like box, like one of those ones you might bring to a movie set or something like that. And it was to get married
At the Hilton Carnival?
Yeah, and it was for like a religious, like a Catholic
What?
thing. But like, I kid you not.
Man, our hometown sucks.
And I'm just like, and I'm like, who unironically is doing this? Like, how much money did they pay to be here? One.
I hope it was in reverse and they got paid to do that.
I mean, like, I don't know how much money. Let's say it's one, like, even $1,000. Let's say it's on the cheap end, like $1,000. Hey, we get to leave our get married right now booth right here. Like, there's no way you're making any money off of that. Like, there's no. I mean, I know like our hometown probably is slightly religious, but like, not to that extent where it's like, oh, but then I thought about it. I'm like, how many like high school sweethearts are going to the carnival and maybe they're going off to college or something, and the girlfriend or whoever is just like,
I find dressing
hey,
up
we
and
got
pretending to
a
be a Fall Guys bean furry less pathetic than that, though. Significantly less pathetic than that.
like how you added a furry
Well, I'm saying because
to the adjective.
whatever, you know what I mean? No, I'm not saying being what I'm doing right now, but I mean like being a furry is significantly less pathetic than getting married at your Hilton Carnival. I don't know, because you grew up there.
But that's my only like market. I was trying to put on my marketing hat, right, and be like, what is their end goal? Like their end goal really is to, hey, you get married, you give us some money, maybe you come to our church or whatever, or organization. I don't know if it was a specific church, but like some sort of, you know what I mean, organization. Maybe it's a monthly payment thing. And you get the Bible every month in the mail, but it's like has some new patch notes or something. I don't know.
Right.
But, and I'm like, it's got to be the only audience I can think of where that would maybe work is, like I said, like the young couple, the girlfriend's going off to college, and maybe the boyfriend or whatever is like, man, I'm gonna lose her. I gotta put a ring on it, like right now. Right now, this is actually a great idea. Just really interesting. And then I also at this carnival, you know, I lost a 100K bet to Bryn because I said there's no way in hell we're gonna see anybody we know. At least I know, because she always remembers all. Do you remember this person from high school? I'm like, no. I do not remember this person from high school.
Of a fuck about any
maybe,
I don't know. It's
maybe if I saw their face,
say,
but
I could
I
don't
don't
really give a shit about any of them, and that's like such a loser thing. But like, it's just how I am, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, no, I feel you. I mean, I'm not like. I mean, I hope everyone's good, but like, I also am like, I don't care. Like, if I hoped I didn't ran into anyone. I mean, I did see an ex-girlfriend's mom there, and I avoided her, but
I wouldn't even remember you, man.
I hope so.
Hey, you know,
but I did do a cool stealth move at one point where she
day.
turned around and I hid behind an old guy. So.
Oh, okay. I thought of you the other day. This isn't flattering.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Actually, when I say the other day, I mean today on the toilet. Not in that way, but actually, kind of. And I'll get there in a second. I was sitting there on the toilet, having a moment that wasn't comfortable.
You're also wearing the Fall Guy suit when this is happening.
Not. No, this is one of those. This is a quote. This is a capital M moment. The pants are fully off. Like, I gotta get up and pace around. It's one of those moments. You know, everyone has one of these moments where it's like diarrhea is just real bad, and you're like, I need freedom, and you're pacing around the bathroom, and I'm sitting down, and I'm not gonna get graphic about what happens, but like, I like slapped my knees a couple times, and like instantly, my brain remembered the story you told of you down in your basement watching hockey, slapping your knees, and your mom upstairs thought you were doing something else. And
I don't remember that. That sounds like something
where things just instantly pop in my head. And then I went in a daydream state of me telling David the story on your behalf to him. And then, you know, maybe that's why I'm in the bean right now. A little bit of a punishment is I shouldn't be allowed to have those types of experiences where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fantasize telling David about an embarrassing story Devin told me once, and now you all get to know. So if David, if you
that's a pretty good. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it sounds right. Maybe there's some missing pieces, but
you don't remember that story.
I do not remember that story. It probably was so. It just kind of like what I mean. It sounds like embarrassing moments. My brain's probably just blocking that out, or. You know what I mean? It put it in the recycling bin, and it's remembering something else, maybe
Listen,
more embarrassing. So I don't know.
every embarrassing moment that I've ever experienced, and they hit me like bolts of lightning, and I make awful facial like tics when I remember them.
No, that does happen to me sometimes, but
I'll be at work
yeah.
sometimes. This happened years ago when I was down in Maryland, and one of my coworkers, she was like, "What's wrong with you?" Because like I had just this awful scowl on my face. Like all of a sudden you look just completely miserable. I'm like, I just remembered something awful. I'm sorry. And now it's just in my brain. And of course then it's like, well, tell me. Like I ain't telling you shit. This is something I'm taking to my grave. Unlike the story about Devin that you all get to know now. We can beat this later if you want. I don't care.
I mean, no, it's fine. It sounds loosely familiar. It sounds like something I would tell you. So I believe it. I'm not saying it didn't happen. But no, I have similar kind of reactions. I will do like an audible like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Like, and that one time I did do it in front of Bryn, and Bryn's like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just something stupid I did in middle school." Like, doesn't matter. Something 20 years ago at this point. Doesn't matter. I'm just mad about it for some reason still.
And then what you have to do is be like, I was a fucking child. And then you laugh at yourself, and then it usually goes away. Like, it took me until, like, maybe, like, 6 or 7 years ago to get over those embarrassing moments from kindergarten. Like, from, like, when this kid's crying in lunch because I said I was better at math than him, but then I said no offense, and they didn't understand why he was crying. And the lunch lady, like, looked at me, and I said, what? I said no offense. Or maybe it was, like, first grade or second grade, whatever. Maybe it was even worse then. Like, those types of moments where I'm like, God damn it. But then that kid doesn't remember. You know what I mean?
Hopefully
Chris
not.
Doesn't remember. Chris doesn't remember shit. He was also bad at math. I'm not wrong. You know what I mean? And in kindergarten, you know, on my birthday, on everyone's birthday, your teacher passed a book around, and every kid drew in the book, or maybe they all drew on paper pages, and she put them in the book together. And this, you know, and then you sit next to the teacher. All the kids watch you open the book and look at all their drawings. And I told the kid I didn't like what they drew.
That is like the most Ethan, like young Ethan thing to
meant,
do, though.
But what I meant was that the kid, she drew like a character from one of the books that the teacher had read. And I was saying, I meant to say like I don't like the character of the book, but I just said I don't like this. And that was it. And then the teacher had to be like, Ethan, you can't say these things. She had to like quote unquote pull me aside while everyone was watching me. You know what I mean? And then I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, fuck. Oh,
that like triggered. See, it's funny how you're saying like certain little things will like just unlock something in our weird labyrinth of a brain that like you haven't thought about probably in forever. For whatever reason, you talking about that, and I don't remember any other context. I just remembered we were in I think 5th or 6th grade, one of the two. I remember you being there. Nothing bad. All I know, only context I remember is we read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief or whatever it was called, the first book. We were being like read aloud, and like
6th grade.
And then I don't know, like my brain remembered that, but then like I feel like I'm missing like a story.
No,
it's like I found like I found the cover of this memory, the book of this memory, and I'm just missing the rest of the pages.
Right. No,
but like something happened in my brain for a half second when you mentioned reading a book in front of the class, and I'm like, I'm not remembering.
We were on the floor drawing.
Yes.
Everyone else I think was just at their desks. We were on the floor drawing or doing something while our 6th grade teacher read the book.
Yeah. I can visualize a little bit of it.
Speaking about teachers reading book, 5th grade. This is a 5th grade story, so you would have been there. You remember in 5th grade, they did that stupid thing to cross-pollinate, I don't know, terrible word, the 5th graders, right? I don't know if this was every 5th grader or if our class was.
When we had to go teach
gymnastics thing. No, that's the 6th grade thing. It was reading the book.
Separate story. Separate.
5th grade, we had to like be like the spotters in gymnastics for like the kindergartners or 1st graders or whatever.
Wow, I do not remember that.
Yeah, and all the kids wanted to do it because it happened in the middle of the class. Like you just got to leave, and our teacher, Muto was her name. I don't care if that's been
You're talking about the monster from Godzilla 24th Series.
No.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all I'm visualizing now.
That was our teacher, Miss Muno. Awful woman. I'm sorry, she was awful.
I think she passed away like 10 years ago. So I think you're good.
I'm sorry. I remember when my kindergarten teacher passed away like 15 years ago, and my grandma wanted to know if I wanted the newspaper clipping. I said no. Like, I don't. It sounds mean to say.
I don't even remember the name of my kindergarten teacher. I don't.
Mama was mine. Anyway, this 5th grade teacher of ours did not like the fact that all the kids were giddily excited to leave her class to go spot the gymnastics thing. And it was like if you had like band or chorus and you had lessons and like this was your time slot. So like it wasn't everyone at once, you know. It was like you might have gone
a handful,
yeah, a couple people here, a couple people there. She's in the middle of telling a story where it was about these kids, and like I don't know if they were 2 boys or whatever, but like they started doing funerals for pets, or like they would bury like pets, like dead pets, not live pets. This wasn't a horror thing, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm absorbing the story, right? I'm absorbing the story. And,
you're visualizing it.
and she's just teachers mentioning how not mind you, during all this. Several times kids would like speak out loud about what they're thinking about the story and stuff like that, okay? So like what I'm about to do isn't crazy out of the blue. We weren't sitting there deadpan. And she was talking about how like these 2 girls kept having all these funerals they needed doing. They all kept dressing up nicely and very pretty. And I'm thinking, oh, these girls in the story, they're just doing it for attention. So I raised my hand to tell my interpretation of this scene of this. We were in 5th grade. I should have been a little bit smarter. And our teacher yelled at me. She didn't even let me say what I was going to say. She said, I know, the gymnastics thing, fine, go. And I'm like, I just put my hand down and sat there. It was like, I was going to talk about the book you're fucking reading, but okay, ladies. No wonder a year later, when you're going around, you see kids in the hallway, and you go, hi, and all of us, like, turn around and ignore you. You know, maybe that's why. Anyway, I don't have any hang-ups. But what I do need to do, I'm sorry, this soup is just way too fucking hot. This is way too hot. This is an extremely hot soup. I am so sorry.
Can I just say something?
Oh my god!
I feel like you could rock overalls. I'm just based off the I feel you could crush it, dude. I feel like you should try it. Like the green and the pink, by the way, good color combo.
Oh yeah,
we love to see it.
I definitely thought of that. That's for sure. That was definitely a thought. That pierced the veil of my brain. Oh my god. Yeah, this is just way too hot, dude. And it's not even the fact that it's hot. It's not even the fact that it's hot. No, I don't. Again, my claustrophobia is bound by the arms. Like,
oh, that's right. We talked about this.
Like that.
You
so
do
technically,
not.
That could have happened if I couldn't get out of the suit. No, it's the feet. Again, I'm standing. I was standing on uneven plastic, folding plastic, and it was just so uncomfortable. It was just the most uncomfortable thing in the world. It was just so uncomfortable. Anyway, I'm good now. Oh, the AC's on. I don't care if you guys hear it.
I have my AC on. This is the first time me trying to see what it sounds like, because it sounds good on the feedback. Sometimes it echoes, but I gotta figure out how big it is, because I haven't opened it since we got it, and I don't remember how big it is, but I remember it being pretty big. My Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes banner that I got from AMC.
She's like, what the fuck are you doing back there?
With Sonic is just looks like he's high on his...
and Tails is probably on the floor somewhere. Because Tails sits on the... Oh, no, he's up there. She just knocked him over.
I did see Big Tails stuffed animal at Target yesterday.
Okay.
I thought about it for a half second. I'm like, I don't need more shit right now. Even though I was looking for a Return of the Living Dead mystery box collectible thing.
Oh, that's cool.
They did not have it. But yeah, I have a big Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes poster that like is from the movie theater, because it was in one of the not like a poster like one of the frame posters that they pull out.
Yeah.
It's like they have like a metal banner thing that rises up, and they put like slide a banner onto it, and it's flippable. So on the other side is I think is it Elementals or
Eternals.
no. It was a kids movie.
Oh, that okay. Pixar
What
had a
a-
movie called Elemental.
I don't think it was Elemental. Inside Out, too.
Oh.
So on the other side is Inside Out too.
Wait, which was this the recent Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
Okay,
So about
I don't know
2 years
which
ago.
one is which. So okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it. I'm like, oh shit, that'd be kind of cool. I never asked a movie theater for anything. I'm like, I don't know how that works. So we asked like as soon as we saw it, like, oh, once the movie comes out, like come back here and ask. I'm like, oh, well, we're always here. So, and but yeah, I have it in a box, a tall box.
Yeah.
And they gave it to us for free. The guy joked like, "I'll be $20." I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And like,
Honestly,
I
I would pay on eBay more for something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I have to probably clean it up. I'm sure it has like some soda like stains that someone dropped a soda nearby. You know what I mean? Just it's in the
just the sticky
part
ambience of dust over time, right? If it was
so
high
I might
up.
have to power wash it or whatever. Not power wash it, but hose it off outside. But I'm
Just double check to make sure that material can take whatever you're going to spray it.
It's like a canvas material. It's like it's like
it's woven, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, like plastically woven. So it's like canvas is the best way to describe it. It's like a banner you'd see at the high school gymnasium or whatever.
I
Like,
see,
oh, remember
I
when
see.
LeBron played here? Oh yeah, me too. But I want to hang it up in this room. I don't know if it'll be on camera. I was thinking maybe hanging it up in front of me because it's
Folks,
just a big white wall. But
we are at some point going to have a new podcast, actual podcast series, not a podcast episode.
yes,
And we'll have different visuals, and it will have a bigger frame of us. Maybe similar ratio to what I look like right now. In which case, yeah, you could probably have stuff behind you.
yeah, I have a bunch of shells my friends gave me. I'm gonna put up on here. A little skeleton over there. I don't know if Big Skelly is gonna. I have to figure out. I might have him just sit on the couch behind me. But I'm pretty happy with this. That our old sofa fits in here.
Yeah, folks can't really see it all that well. I can see it on like your full screen that is off on a far away monitor of it. Yeah, it looks nice. I can see your red something or other sitting there. Is that
Switch.
a case?
That? Switch.
Yeah.
My Switch is in the case because I'm in the
Okay.
middle of a Balatro run.
Nice.
I'm not doing well.
Really?
In Balatro. Can
Can I tell you
3 flights that I have not won a run. I've been trying up the other decks because I'm trying to unlock all the decks. I want to do all of them, and I keep getting to round 7.
See, the
and
problem with Balatro,
something pops up, and I just take the L. You know.
Yeah, it's a problem with Balatro, and this again. I started playing that game shortly after it came out. Basically, when it came to PlayStation, which I feel like was not too far after the PC launch. But like the zeitgeist had started without me, but I was still early enough. And I played an intense amount. I streamed an intense amount on PlayStation. I was like, I'm going to platinum this game. I still would like to in my lifetime, but like gold staking everything on every Joker and every deck is insane. But it was harder back then. They made the dude, because I think it's just one guy, Jim Balatro, we'll call him. Local Thunk, I actually think is his dev name, did a major update to it that made it significantly easier. So I'm not sure if this tidbit I'm going to say is before then or after, but there was a lot of people who were like, all I do is stream it, and I'm like basically one of the professionals at it, that can just tell, oh, this run is unwinnable. Just after a little bit, like, oh, this is not going to work at all.
That's crazy.
So, like, I don't know if that's still the case where there are runs that just don't work. There is going to be an update with new Jokers and stuff.
I've collected about 100 of them. I think there's 150 total.
There are ones that don't become available to find until you do certain things. Like, if you were doing a run where you were making a whole bunch of cards gold, then you'll start to see for the first time the Joker that's related to
I've
gold
noticed
cards.
that, which is
There's
cool.
stuff like that, because like my last Joker was related to stones. It's like turning a card to stone, and you needed like a whole bunch of card stone in order to have that Joker pop up. And I was like, I'm at 149. What the hell's going on here? And I had to look it up and be like, oh, because I never do this. That's why.
Yeah,
but
I didn't.
That's cool. You're still playing that.
Yeah, it's a good flight game. I just put on some music and then play that. Before that was Vampire Survivors. So those were my
Another great melt
just
time
mindless.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mindless. Don't have to think. I mean, I got to think about it a little bit more, I guess, in Balatro, but it isn't too. Like, I can take my time, or like, oh, I can stop playing this. The only issue I have with Vampire Survivors, I gotta like physically pause it.
Sure.
When at
Yeah.
least with Balatro, I feel like it. I don't know.
There nothing
doesn't really matter.
happens. You can just put it down. Yeah.
Yeah. I still
Yeah,
wish there was a
it's
redo button on Balatro. That's my biggest. Like, I
That would be nice.
accidentally pressed the wrong button.
You know
and
how
I
many
discarded
times
my only
I've
playable hand, and then
yeah,
it's
I've
just
done that
like,
a lot.
oh,
I've done that a lot. I've lost runs in the past because I pressed it was a triangle on PlayStation. Would have been like the top button on the 4. I think that's discard or something or something like that. And I'm like, oh, fuck me, I guess. You know.
Yeah. Or I
an
get in a
undo button would be
groove.
nice.
Or I get in a groove, and I'm like, oh, I'm just been in a habit of discarding, and then I accidentally play it or whatever. But I've been trying one strategy I've been doing is like, 'cause I notice some things will pop up, and then you're like, oh, I'll pass on that Joker. Let's say that's not the strategy I want to do, but then you'll like a couple shops later will get a card that would have worked really well with that. So I'm like,
Right.
okay, what I'm gonna do is like go in with this strategy of like just force myself to change, like
Yeah.
mid game, just to see what happens, rather than like think about it too hard. Because usually I try to set myself up within the first two antes. There, I try to be like,
Right.
I'll be like, oh, you know what, I feel like I'm gonna do a lot of full houses. I want to get jokers that like reward me for playing 5 cards. So that's
Yeah,
currently what I'm
yeah.
running with right now. Is like I did switch a little bit. I've been trying to do the one deck where you get one extra joker slot, and I just be super aggressive. By like I'll skip a bunch of blinds to like get a lot of money so I can buy shit. But I had halfway through that run I've been doing was it only goes up to each boss, but you can increase your one multiplier by selling cards. So I've been just like, okay, this is perfect for this.
Oh, really?
So I was like I'm in the middle of the run still. We'll see how it goes. I wind up getting rid of that card. I think it was the bonfire card or some bonfire joker. It's like a little campfire.
Something like that, yeah.
And the idea is like, yeah, you can. So I raised my like multiplier. So it's really good in the early rounds. I sold it because I was like, okay, I'm like in the 6th level here. At 3, even if I sold all these cards, at most I can only get up to like 3 times or 4 times, which isn't really that much anymore. So I sold it, but it was really nice the first early rounds where I was like buying jokers, selling jokers, creating. I had one where every time I clicked a level, it would create a random tarot card. I would sell that tarot card immediately, get the multiplier. So it's been just a different strategy. It's been really fun. So I've been doing that, but
if you want,
I didn't finish on my flight, so I've been like. I stopped it, and then I'm like, oh, crap, my Switch is going to die. I better play it. And I was playing it the other day, and then, yeah, now it's been sitting over there charging.
Nice.
I need to finish it at some point. And every time I wind up getting back into it, I seem to always just lose right away. So hopefully that doesn't
get
happen.
back in the flow. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, the one strat that is, like, the only way to get those ridiculously high, like, to the 78th or whatever points things.
I haven't even touched that yet. Like, I haven't even
the only like real strategy to get up there is playing hands that are just one card, and you through jokers and tarots and whatnot, turn your deck into all steel cards with red stamps, and you have and kings. Because there's a joker if it's a king, there's a joker for steel, there's the replay, there's the blueprints, and then there's basically I have a video, it's like 30 minutes long on my PlayStation, because that's how far it's saved, of my final hand, my final play, because eventually the antes, exponentially their requirements get so high that you can't go on forever, even with like the most optimal thing. And I had the legendary Joker that's like whenever, and I'm forgetting exactly what it was, but like every single round. So like every new I forget what they call blind you do, or in the shop or something like that. It takes one of your tarot cards and doubles it. And so I had like 60 of this tarot card. So I had like 60 slots because it just make a new slot and double it. And like there was a thing to one of the jokers was like randomly pick one of your tarot cards and or something like that. For each tarot you have of this, activate it or something like that, but don't destroy it. I forget what it was. I have this video of it. And so basically I would play the hand. It would go through, just one card. It would go through all my steel things in my hand that were reds and kings. So they would be activated 3 or 4 times. And then it would just go through my entire tarot card pile and just multiplying it by like 2 each or something crazy like that. And but like the problem is that once you do that, then the game's over because you solved it. The only other thing to do is there's the challenges, and then there's the gold stake everything. Is fun. I'm
gonna keep playing it until my main goal, like I said, is just to unlock each deck and then beat the main 8 levels on each deck and go from there. I mean, I'm just having fun with it. I don't even think too deeply into it. It's just like I said, a time burner game. I don't think I've only done like maybe half the levels in Vampire Survivors, but I've done like some of the endless modes on there just where I'm like, okay, I have like 2 hours still on this flight instead of doing 30-minute levels.
I am number, I think, 4 or 5 on PlayStationProfiles.com, PSNProfiles.com. And I'm either the 4th or 5th person to platinum the PS4 version of Vampire Survivors.
Oh, wow.
Of the people that play on that site. And we have a video. We have like 2 streams. One of them's 9 hours that I played. And if I didn't go to sleep, I definitely would have been number 1 because everyone was playing that PS5 version.
We should do the co-op. I think we've been saying this, but we should maybe just do it for
because they were
going to
update the co-op to make it online.
Yeah. We should do it for October. We should do. I have some fun ideas for October for us to do. But I think one of them should be that.
Why don't you tell the kids at home your ideas, and I'm gonna go grab a drink because it's still very hot from that soup.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I mean last year, we did the kind of, I picked like 5 or 6 games on Steam that are free to play. Kind of or considered bad or whatever. I just looked through over the years, and we found a gem out of that, which was Titanic 2, some weird, almost psychedelic at moments or fever dream kind of take on what would a sequel to Titanic be. Really funny. Hoping we can do that again this year. I don't remember if any of our movies are horror movies on
Sorry.
No, we do have a couple of the Uwe Boll ones. I don't know if those will line up though with Halloween. But yeah, we should do one of those again. Part of me wants to do like a run through of Fear, that game, because I remember playing it at my cousin's house and it was scary at the time. But maybe something like just for 4 hours. We're not we're not doing a let's play.
They made 3 of those.
But I want to find a game like that from that era, and we just with David maybe or maybe David play it or something. Just something simple and fun like that. Another idea I had was trying to find some very either stupid or genuinely goofy creepypasta shit on YouTube, but not compilation shit or there's this one guy I always see pop up when I used to do the little cryptid show I did on Twitch, where it's this guy with a kind of goofy voice be here's top 10 scary moments with Bigfoot, and then number 10 blah, 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 blah. And I'm I get it why people watch this, whatever, but I want
sure.
some weird shit. I've saved some stuff on TikTok about a guy who lives in Appalachia, and he gives different rules and stuff about the Appalachia that you need to follow. But I want to I don't know, do a stream of some sort, maybe a pseudo cryptids show, but nothing.
I'm telling you, I want Cursona's Cryptids to return as an S rank production.
Yeah, I mean something in that place, or we do there's plenty of cryptid games out there. I think that's probably would be saved for something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Just watch I just want to watch dumb YouTube videos, and fun YouTube videos and just I don't know, just riff off of it. I just think it'd be fun, something different, something super casual.
Sure.
I think what else. I had another idea, but I gotta look at my notes or something. 'Cause sometimes I write stuff in there, but yeah, I don't know. I love my horror stuff. One day, my dream would be, I know Ethan, is like, you've said that like, oh, I'm not a horror fan, or maybe just haven't really dove into it. But
No,
like
I don't like horror movies. And I think I explained in the Until Dawn thing, it's like a control thing for me. Because I
yeah,
played so many video games that were scary to me as kids, and like, I'm just too damn good. You know what I mean? I beat up the monsters. So like when I don't watch a lot of these movies, I think that's the root of my reasoning is like I just don't like the fact that I'm powerless because it's a movie. You know what I mean?
yeah. But like, I know David has seen a. I don't know if I don't. I think he'd say he's a horror fan, but I don't know how many horror movies he's seen. But I know he's seen. Like I know if I've talked to him in the past, being like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this or I've seen that," or he's asked me like, "Oh, what movies have you like? Would you recommend that aren't or horror themed, but maybe not too like crazy?" I would love to like one day do like a little one-off, really quick podcast or something where it's just like we watch six. Devin picks six horror movies that are from different, like to be
Wow.
like out my with the goal of like I want Ethan to find like a subgenre of horror that he likes,
Oh my god.
and then and then David
Let's
too.
torture Ethan. That's the
Well, I mean, like
episode name.
there's so many like different subgenres of horror. I mean, I know what ones like scare me more, but then I find myself enjoying specific type. Like I realize how much I do actually just love like a good zombie movie, but not like all the like George A. Romero ones. I haven't watched every single. I haven't watched the last two that he made before he passed. But like I watched like Day of the Dead a couple years ago, and I'm like, God, this movie's just just it is of the time, but like in all the best way possible. Is like the color grading and like the effects, but also just like the dialogue and the setting. It's just like I love Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, like just the aesthetic of it. And I've been kind of chasing that. I'm like I'm trying to find more. I find myself gravitating towards like 60s, 70s horror movies because like I feel like that was just a great era of people were just trying to do weird shit and make cool stuff. There's a lot of bad shit too,
Right.
but that's part of like
A
the
lot of bad shit and everything.
yeah, part of the thrill of it. But no, I've always had I have a lot of ideas, but we have just collectively we both have a lot of ideas for this show. It's always been tough
Yeah,
to
yeah.
accomplish because this is a working man's podcast in the sense that
And channel,
we have
you know
jobs.
what I mean?
Yeah, like everything requires. We don't have no editors. We don't have no other person, behind the scenes.
We don't
doing
even have
anything.
you all that much. Tell your
Right.
friends.
Yeah, so like what you see is what you get, like Sonic said at the
Like
beginning.
Sonic said. Think about what you
Um,
see. I don't know if you can tell. So this background that we have, it's a purple to yellow kind of gradient. This is live from the Bahamas, but transparently, actually layered above it, is a photo. I don't know if you can tell. Actually, can you
Oh
see
yeah. I
down
see
there
I
the
see
mouth?
a mouth.
Yeah. I would just folks that understand and have experienced many of the recent things we might have done together might be able to tell what that image is from. It was a throwaway thing, but
I see an
just
ear.
over the course of this episode, just keep
I
keep an
can't
eye
tell if it's me or not.
It is not a picture of any of us. I'll say that. But yeah,
no,
I have a lot of ideas for stuff. I actually spent some time today because I want to do lots of video game streaming series, and I've only kept up with the trophy hunting thing, which is every Sunday, and I have that at a good pace where like I'm not getting too bored of it, and I'm not getting too ahead of it. And this summer PS3 stuff as well. But I have a few different like series ideas I want to do. Like, I want to do all of these types of games or all those types of games and analytically look at them. But like, I made that retro achievements account, and I only have 2 games on there: Super Mario Brothers and LSD Dream Emulator for when we played that on retro rotation. And so I went on the old spreadsheet maker there, Excel, and I went through what Nintendo made games
across all their systems have retro achievements, and it made lists of like, all right, from a 2-hour stream, this is one game could fit that. Maybe these 3 games fit that. These 2, I'm planning them all out. I have like 100 there. Never going to get to them all. But the idea is like, cool. I just did all the research I need. Now if I want, whenever I want to start, I can just look and be like, all right, just Zelda 2? Oh, okay. Just Donkey Kong Country 3? All right, cool. That's like, I can just pick and be like, cool. I don't need to like, but like that's what I like to do for this podcast, this channel is a lot of this planning stuff. And like, with the way my job is, I don't need to get into specifics, but there's a lot of times where all I can do really is just sit there and think. And so I plan a lot of this stuff out and write notes down on my phone and whatnot for stuff. And we have a lot of podcast ideas, not just episodes of the show, but podcast ideas, miniseries and whatnot. That would be fun to tackle if we ever had the time to do it. Because I know your job is stressful, and my job makes me tired sometimes. And I come home, and one of the last things I want to do is immediately get on camera. You know what I do? You know what I mean? So let alone like tackling a lot of that stuff is tough. I mean, we still have to do. We have to find out what happens after in this post Eradicate world. You know what I mean? In Pokemon Nuzlocke.
Yeah, it's been
right.
a couple months
it was like
already.
April or March, maybe even since we did that. Right. So we gotta get back up on that. But it's fun nonetheless. Do you need a hint? Do you need a hint on what this background image is?
I see I know it's an old person of some sort. The issue is the eyes, which are covered by the text, is making it a bit more difficult to see.
I'll say the eyes don't matter.
I feel like it's how I'm able to identify them. How would I know that Batman's Bruce Wayne without seeing his eyes?
Sure. I will say you introduced this picture. I will say that.
Is it the old guy from the
putting on the sunscreen?
Yeah, the sunscreen guy.
In that stream, you guys can watch me right-click save the image. Right.
I literally Googled like old man sunscreen and then just picked like the second or third image that popped up on there.
Yeah. Also, one of the other things too, like I kind of realized this the other day too. My router and my internet package is awesome. I have gigabit up internet from a cable company, which is insane. Like it's symmetrical internet from a cable company.
You're stealing it from some community college, pretty much. I think I like the entire university's internet is just being tapped.
I'm paying $70 a month for it, and that will probably go up in a year. But whatever. And like my bandwidth, when I upload episodes to our OneDrive so that you can make clips for them and whatnot, which, by the way, I think you have like 4 or 5 things in there. So get chop, buddy. But like all that stuff's super fast now because like I'll look at like the app for the router on my phone. It'll be like, yep, 600 megabytes up right now per second. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god, the megabits per second rather. Right? That is separate. Gigabit and megabit is how you would identify that. But I'm like looking at like, but when I've been doing these streams for us, like, man, our bit rate is rock solid. But like I set the cap to 8,000. 6,000 is what needed for folks at home that don't know. 6,000 bit rate is what's needed for a 1080p at 60 frames per second stream, and I set it up to 8 so that like, hey, that's just kind of like a genuine maximum threshold to allow for the thing. Like, okay, maybe this will help a little bit. Who cares? But like looking into it, I could do it in 4K. Problem is my graphics card wouldn't be able to handle that. So like that's the bottleneck now. But it would be cool to do that. I mean, it's not really all that worth it for this. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people statistically watch us on their phones. Or a TV, so technically, it would, I guess, matter for 4K there.
Well, the other thing is cameras
for video games.
Our cameras also. I mean, mine's technically at 720p right
really?
now. It looks better though than.
I have these
switched,
two books are
my
capable of
cameras.
1080p, but
I switched my cameras because I found this one to be a little bit more. For whatever reason, the Logitech software lets me edit to like each, like to like an actual numerical variable for each setting, but not for the other one. The other one is like
sliders.
It was sliders. I don't know why. I don't know
You
why.
can't write down what any of the stuff means.
Yeah.
You have to,
and that was the one I
take a
always had
screenshot.
issues with, that would freeze up if I messed with it too much and it
Wow.
would take too long. So I said, screw it, I'm using this other one. And I watched a YouTube video of like someone who had the exact same one, was like, this is what I use, but like here's some things I recommended. I didn't have to change too much. I just changed the sharpness. I actually made it less sharp and it actually felt like it looked cleaner.
Okay. I mean,
But
I can.
in the
from
lighting,
what I can tell here, it
I
looks
got
pretty good.
the lighting. I feel like is a lot more consistent. It's weirdly enough, I was mad that the light in this room above me is this like orange warm light, like pretty orange by itself, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be annoying. What, should I get a new bulb? But when I was messing with it quickly, I have one light on, and then I have 3 lights on here that are cool, or just regular kind of white blue light. And this one with the orange actually wind up working decently together.
That's what I do with my 3 lights. I have the ring light in the middle. No, they're not on right now because I'm not at there. Actually, just one of my regular lamps is the only light source on me. I don't even have the thing behind me on. But yeah, the ring light's on a warm temperature, and then the 2 side lights are on cool.
Yeah, I don't even have the
some
middle one
variable
on
there.
because the middle one wind up making me look way more shiny.
I think it looks good. I think it
Thank
looks
you.
good.
And it's just me. I just kind of quickly threw
Now,
it together, but I might
We'll
make
see
minor
what happens
changes.
when the sun goes down behind you. How
Oh
that
no,
changes.
so when I first did this, it was completely dark. That's why I was actually curious.
Okay.
But the sun sets on the other side of this house, so the sun rises on this side. So most times there won't be too much natural light coming in.
Okay. The sun actually sets behind me, so it shines through the window.
Yeah.
But
That's how it was a little bit more at our other place. But for folks who are trying to do this at home or messing with lighting, sometimes, it's just a matter of a bunch of trial and error. I mean, I've had, feels like at least 5 different setups over the course of 10 years. I know Ethan's probably about the same, maybe more. And it's like it's just funny how sometimes it's you kind of fall into something and kind of just trust it a little bit more. But I'm always afraid of messing with things too much.
Yeah.
You definitely
Yeah.
try more stuff than I do, and that I'm always scared to I'm like that with everything though. Like with my car,
I'll
if
try
it's
a bean costume and then get so pissed 30 minutes into the recording, probably 15 minutes into the actual episode, that I take it off because it was so hot in there.
But no, yeah, I have my 2 little Amazon lights, and then one of the 2, not the exact same one as the other room that I had it in, but the same thing where it's like 5 lights from Target that I bought when we first moved to Baltimore, because they had no lights in the apartment when we moved in, and we just quickly bought the cheapest ones. And I have the cheapest shit running this thing right now. So
That is right. There wasn't really any lights in that first apartment, was there?
No,
that you had?
we moved in. It was late summer, so once 7 o'clock was rolling in, it was starting to get dark, and me and Brendan were like, "Oh shit, we got to go to Target." We just bought 2 college style 5 lights. The other one I have is still back at the other place.
I remember those.
which was always in the background behind me.
Maybe that's why I remember them.
Yeah, and it's bent. Ever since we moved out to Colorado, they've been bent because the movers fucked it up. But I brought
Sure.
the other one from our bedroom, and I left that one there. We're just gonna give that one away or throw it away. Probably gonna give it. I'm gonna try to give it away first, just to be like, hey, if a college student needs something it doesn't look great. Don't get me wrong, but if you're looking, if your kid's going off to college and you just need something, nothing like
Sure.
that can get attached to. Here you go.
Put it up on Facebook Marketplace free. Just take it.
Bryn's a Facebook Marketplace dealer. I feel like, because she every time, I don't know how she does it, but she'll post stuff on there and sell it the same day. When I've heard other people don't have the same level of success.
Good for her.
So she made $300. I think when we moved from Baltimore to Denver, on just within a week. If that we were moving, it was she was like, boom,
I remember
someone's
you
buying
were
these
selling,
IKEA cabinets.
Yeah, those.
IKEA cabinets.
She like that one guy I saw on TikTok where like he was just constantly hitting up everyone selling a car on Facebook Marketplace, lowballing them, saying, "I'll pick it up tomorrow. I have the cash in hand." Like, like, don't fuck with me, sweetie. I got the money. $350 is good for you.
Money.
Stuff like that, So maybe that's what she's doing, flipping cars.
I don't know.
Hey, man, because I don't have a Facebook account, so I doubt I can use Facebook Marketplace. But I hear that's a great way of buying rare video games and old video games and whatnot. So
I'm sure.
I am sure. Hey, you just take a gander sometime. And if you see anything that you think would look cool, maybe on a shelf next to Heihachi over here, just take me the picture, and then maybe I'll Venmo you money for it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And then you'd have to like get it to me. Like, you don't get to keep it if I'm paying for it. But like,
I was gonna use it as like some sort of like bargaining thing. Like, be like, oh, I have a whole pile of this, but I need this in return. I need a bunch of Zweigels from Rochester in return. But no, yeah, Bryn's in like a group that's like just free stuff too. So like she'll sometimes be like, oh, do we need this? Someone's getting rid of this for free. We got a new chair that looks like pretty much brand new to me for like $10, and it's really comfy, and I'm like, hell yeah.
It's not free stuff, but sure.
Not that one particular, but in general she'll look at that stuff. But
right.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace is like one of the few only good things about Facebook. One of the very few. If you're not getting fed misinformation or AI garbage,
you can at least buy things.
You can at least for cheap, and maybe be like, oh, I don't need to go buy the newest this. I can just use this. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I love. I'm in a rut right now where like I spent too much money on retro gaming stuff this year, so like I have to not do any of that stuff. So like I see, or even just like buying games in general. Like I'll see Wario 64 will be like, oh, this is $21 on Amazon, and be like, I can't do that. I spent that money already. The money I would have spent that's already gone. I used that on something else, and I have this. I chose this over this other thing. Like I always have to think of it like that. But yeah, man, I'll just like buying stuff, and I'll be like, hey, you know what I need right now? I need these PS3 games. But then like in a month I won't care, and I'll be like, I want these PS2 games. Be cool if I got this GameCube game. Like I'm just in that mind, but then like that slowly collects and stuff like that, and then some of it gets used for content, like all of those fighting games and whatnot.
What was it? Bushido Blade, dude.
Oh.
I've been thinking about that game. That game low key changed my perspective.
It took you to POV mode. Your perspective changed.
It literally did change my perspective. And I don't know. I was just like, how is this a PS? Like, yes, it looked like a PS1 game, but just like what it was capable of, and just felt so different of that era that I grew up with. I did dust off my because I was putting back together my shelf in the other room of the PS1 Classic, and I'm like, I might boot this up again just to mess around again and play.
You can hack
just for a couple hours
pretty easily, I will add, if you care, and you can put PS1 ROMs on there and have it boot up in the emulator that's built into that thing. Because like some of those games, some of the versions of the games on there are the European versions running at 50 frames per second, 50 hertz, because the PAL TVs were 50. It's weird stuff like that. So like looking it up online, there's a way to very easy. Let me put it this way. Because the controllers are USB, you can plug a USB keyboard in there, and it immediately unlocks the dev mode, the debug mode. In that system. Yeah, that's how shoddily put together that whole thing was. But it makes for a great emulation machine if you put stuff on there. So, like, you can put Dino Crisis on there if you want. You can put all that stuff on there. I haven't done it personally, but I know it's extremely easy to do.
That'd be kind of cool. Dino Crisis is on my list to play this year. The first
and any USB controller can plug into that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, as I have my two Dino Crisis 2 copies, both in Japanese and in American English. I have, because I got these little stands for my monitors. This is my first time trying it, and I actually have everything kind of pointed down. I was like, oh, I can cover this up because it's kind of an awkward gap. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna put these here for now. But I want to play Dino Crisis this year.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at. I feel like I've been playing more games though this year than I did last year, but I just never have time for it, or I just wind up putting something on TV and calling it a day. But I have Dino Crisis 'cause I did get it on PS5. I did purchase it when it came out again. I want to play it on there. I would play the new Donkey Kong, my guy Donkey Kong, if it wasn't on Switch 2. I'm not spending that much money on that, unfortunately. But I heard it's really good, better than Mario Odyssey, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, it's that team. They spent pretty much the same amount of time, like that entire time since then.
I have a very just small goal for myself. I'm like Dino Crisis and Ghost of Yotai. I'm not gonna beat Ghost of Yotai probably, but just like have enough experience in it to have an opinion on it. I've been kind of feeling like when we did the stream with just like the old fighting games. I'm like, man, like I kind of miss when games felt like fun in that way. Like it's different, you know what I mean? Where like there's so many games I feel like need to take my time.
Games need to have constant rewards and unlocks and progress, and it isn't just like boot up the game, select your fighter type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And maybe I might get MK1 because I know it's been on sale a bunch. And the Ultimate Edition's out.
Yeah, the complete, because they're done with that game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I might get that around Christmas time for myself. If I see it pop up on Black Friday or something, I might just... I'm sure it'll be $25-$30 at that point. So, cause I did like Mortal Kombat 11. I still have my lunchbox from the Mortal Kombat 11 that I just unpacked, but it's all dented because it got crushed in the move. I might
you should be able
get rid of it, but
undent that, right?
It's pretty dented, and the bottom's rusted because it was sitting on my windowsill in my old apartment where moisture would creep in underneath it, which sucks. But I mean, it's whatever. It was a GameStop giveaway, and it's probably was $10 at most. But yeah, no, I mean, that's what I like about this channel is that like we do these one-off streams and we get to play this whatever goofy game. That's what I like. That's when I like gaming. It's like more arcadey in that sense, where it's like feels like I'm going to the arcade in a virtual space or in our Discord, I guess, and being like, all right, let's boot up this.
Well, I love the in-person stuff. Like in this day and age, honest to God, in this day and age where everyone's doing the streaming thing, they're doing stuff like this where like they're not in the same space and we are in different states, so like we can't help that. It's not a matter of like I have to drive an hour over and I don't want to. Right. Like it's not just a matter of like planning it out. It's like it's just not feasible on a whim to do. You know what I mean? That's why it was so special. And when you were able to be in town, we were able to do something. But like just thinking about like even any of like the streaming collab stuff that you see, it's always a bunch of different windows because everyone's in their own home doing that stuff. It isn't
or you
like
have to have 7 tabs open on Twitch for
well sure but it isn't just like the old like pre Justin TV type of era of like Giant Bomb where like YouTube still capped videos at 10 minutes, and so like Giant Bomb had all that stuff just like on their website, and like watching like a whole bunch of people sitting on a couch and like playing games. Like, oh my god, like I would love to be able to do that. It's just not possible. David's in a different state than you and I are in. You know what I mean? So you couldn't even have one of us be with him. You know what I mean?
I mean,
and the one time we were all in like the same area, we never took advantage of that. Really, you know what I mean? But it's not like we just
also
chose
had
not
COVID. To be fair, COVID did also happen for a good chunk of that time, which really sucked. Obviously. But no, I think the era, I'm sure in 10 years we're going to look back and there's going to be the era that we're in now and people are going to be like, oh man, I miss when so-and-so did that collab with so-and-so.
Sure.
I mean, I guess IRL stuff, though, from what I know on Twitch, is like the new big category. I mean, because of people like iShowSpeed and Kai Cenat and all those guys.
But that's a lot of just like burning money to do stunts. It isn't like, hey, we're hanging out again. We're playing all of these today.
Well, some of them do. I don't like some. Not those two guys. I don't. iShowSpeed's amazing. I've always seen clips of him. He's
I don't really
at least
know any of them.
He just goes and explores different countries, and then he just does IRL stuff. And like he's just a young guy who is a young fan base, and he's doesn't have shitty opinions on politics and isn't afraid to say it. And
Unlike us.
but he's also right. But like I remember when he went to China and like everyone was joking on how much like he's helped U.S. China relations unironically more than like any U.S. president has in the last 30, 40 years, because he's just going there and being a normal person and being like,
Right.
oh, I want to learn about your culture. What do you do here? Oh, you do this? Cool. Oh, here's what we do. Cool. Or I don't understand a word you're saying, but like we're both laughing at this stupid thing we're doing right now. And I think that's also in a world where everyone's getting poorer and things like COVID happen. It's like someone going out there to like go out in there and literally do stuff. I get why like IRL stuff's definitely bigger. I personally I'm not about it. Like I've done a couple like the equivalent of a vlog before, and like I'm like it's fine, but I don't need every second of my waking breath to be on camera constantly.
Just my trophy hunting stuff. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Every waking moment. Although I've been doing so many. My goal for this year for trophy hunting stuff off like air is to get all of the online trophies done in all of these PS3 and some PS4 fighting games. Just as many fighting games as I can buy and get. Do all the online stuff on them done. And next year, my goal is to then start to platinum some of these, especially the hard ones. Because they're, especially in the PS3 era, you would get a fighting game. Street Fighter 4 is a good example. Dead or Alive 5 is a good example. Persona 4 Arena is a good example. That are like, hey, do all of the combo challenges for every character. And like 0.5% of people have the platinum. Or like 0.5%, But then like a modern fighting game wouldn't even touch any. They would be like, try it. Or like you play online for 10 matches. Street Fighter 5 wants you to win 300 ranked matches and get this rank and stuff like that. And like back in the day, it was harder. We don't want to be like that, but like doing Street Fighter 4 with this massive group of people where everyone needs to win 506 matches, and then also like have 50 matches and at this HP threshold, have 50 at this HP threshold, have 50 at this HP win 30 matches by doing this, win 30 by doing this, all online matches and all this, and like trying to like with spreadsheets catalog everyone and trying to make sure everyone is able to do all this stuff. That has been a big project for me this year. It's been going through all the online stuff and all these old ones, so that next year I can actually go through the painstaking parts of platinum them, probably on some content. Maybe not the entire experience, because I don't really want to have like 20 streams in a row of the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, even though like I personally would enjoy doing that, I don't think it's a great look on the feed to be like. That's why like my trophy hunting stuff is I'm like rotating through things, and so that it's not just the same type of thumbnail over and over in a row, like that type of thing. That's a big trophy hunting project for me this year, and I've played more PS3 this year than PS5 stuff, like significantly more, because I'll be like, okay, what fighting games should I get next? All right, there's these Blaze Blue games. I don't really like the look of them, but they're made by Arc System Works, not the same team that made Guilty Gear Xrd, which I loved, but like it's another team there. Okay, there's like 10 of these things on PS3. I think, or like 8, because there's like here's a sequel, here's an updated version of that sequel, here's a new one, here's an updated version of that new one. They all have their own trophy lists. 3 of them have Vita versions that have their own trophy lists. So it's like, all right, I have this boosting group on the PlayStation Network on the messaging app on my phone. Be like, all right, who has this game? Who has this version of this series? You know what I mean? All right, write all that stuff down. Who has this one? All right, who, just trying to like coordinate all that stuff is, and of course you bite off more than you can chew. And I'm literally having to be like, fuck, this person is asking if we can boost that day, and it's the only day they can this week, and I already scheduled that time with someone else. And should I, how do I do this? Like that type of thing. Like, so sometimes, I go like too far with that, and I've had to like rein it back in. Of course, I accomplished what I wanted to do with a lot of them, so there's just less left, so to speak. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun because I love fighting games. But as a like I would not ever consider myself pro because that would require dedicating a lot of time into like one game or one series. Like Tekken, all of like
Even
you know, that type of
for
thing.
me, the word pro also implies that you're able to get money from it. Like,
Sure, but just being like good, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But I'm not casual either. I'm like, in that in between where like I get excited about all of this stuff and like I want to like do that. I've wanted talking about different series and ideas we wanted to do on the channel. Like forever, I've wanted to do a streaming series where I play through all of the Tekken games. Arcade modes on each of them with every character. So go through all the characters in Tekken 1 in their arcade modes and do stuff like that. Well, that's just a lot of time and setup, but it's an idea. If there was ever time to do stuff, I mean, we've been you and I will have to start our thing soon, but behind the scenes on S Rank there has been projects being recorded that may one day appear in some capacity somewhere as a part of srankproductions. But maybe that would be something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, like those. I really want to do at least the first game. I won't spoil what it is. Even though I feel like we've mentioned it before, but whatever. Just in case we haven't. The first game. Because...
And the reason why we're not going to say it is because we don't want to like get people's hopes up and excited for something that might not actually happen. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's plenty of ideas or goals that we'd have for the channel, and then we just don't have time for. One of my goals on this channel, I feel like this episode's turned into like we're halfway through the year. What have we accomplished or not?
Listen, I said let's do a podcast. We owed them a podcast with me and the Bean. I didn't think of anything, and then you suggested something, and I didn't prepare what that would even be. Like I literally don't even have that scene ready, let alone the things in there. So,
but no, like one of my goals this year was to do at least once a month, like a movie review, like in the spirit of the first couple I did. Granted, moving and other life stuff happening all at the same time.
You got married,
and and energy just has like not been. Now that I have not been going to the theater, it's just that I'm like. Either I'm not seeing it because we're usually pretty good about seeing it within like the first week a movie comes out because we try to go to like the Dolby or IMAX screenings for movies. I feel like that's the most best way I can like fully get the experience in which the filmmaker wants it in. But sometimes that doesn't happen.
And for me, that can't happen. I can see an IMAX, but I can't see any Dolby screens.
Yeah, I mean I know there's like every different movie theater has their own premium screen, but I just mean like premium screenings in general.
Sure.
I mean, ideally, I would love to see every movie I watch in the movie theater setting. Regardless, like it's been a matter of just how the quality of which I want to do them at, which I'm proud of the first couple I did there. But I realize I'm like, no, I need to write a full on like basically the equivalent of writing like a shitty essay for college. Like that's just how my brain works. I can't
with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I know. With
my
ChatGPT,
cat sprinted as soon as she heard that. So
she
does
not
we have a negative connotation with those words. that name.
But like I literally write out like not word for word, but maybe sentence by sentence loosely what I'm trying to say. Not even bullet points. Like actual like I'm writing a thesis. I'm writing this is what I want to talk about. These are the main hitters. And there's been some movies where I'm like, oh, I want to talk about it, but the movie's already been out, or I don't want to commit to it because I think by the time I actually get around to recording it, it's just I don't know, like it just wind up talking myself out of it.
I get it because I do that with so many video ideas of like me talking to the camera. Some of them are evergreen, and I just I just don't feel like that one anymore, and I don't do any of them.
Or I'm like, I want to see this again, and then I don't have time to see it again. But then I thought about going a different direction. I still want to do the like movies that are out and do some more of the. There's one movie I'm seeing tomorrow which might be a potential candidate. We'll see. Eddington. It's like I'm seeing it in the smallest theater at the old theater we go to, much farther now because it's not being shown at all at the other one I go to.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it's only been out since last week, but I think it's because Fantastic Four, Superman, and Jurassic Park are all out at the same time, and it's blockbuster season, so they're gonna
right.
They're gonna cater to making money. I get it. But I'm seeing it, so I'm happy I'm seeing it at all. Ari Aster film I believe. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's been very vague about what it's about, but it seems to be about a mayor in a small town during COVID, and it might be a political piece of some sort. So I'm just intrigued by it. And
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix is in it.
Oh, that is a turn off for me. I'm sorry. I don't like
But
him.
Pedro Pascal's in it. There's a bunch of other folks. Well, the two like kind of main leads. But I don't know. Just I like the director's other work. Hoping I'm not misremembering the director, but maybe I did. So I'm thinking of Weapons is also coming out in next
That
month,
I've heard of.
which is gonna be a weird movie, I think. Regardless, I want to do like I think I would have done a video on like 28 Years Later because that is a big one of the year. Might be my favorite movie so far this year.
Really?
But and what's weird, I came out of that movie being like, not what I expected, but I did like it. But the more we like talked about it, it was like one of those movies where you talk about afterwards, like kind of like when we do our movie reviews, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, I actually really dig this movie. This movie actually has a lot of cool shit in it. And I'm like, now I gotta rewatch it, like with the things I've talked about in context, and I think I will like it even more. It's just an interesting aesthetic film. I mean, it's just very original feelings. I think that's why I cater to it. But regardless, my goal is to do like one a month, and that hasn't really happened because of moving all that. But also, like,
yeah, I mean,
there's only so many times I can edit stuff. Editing's always the longest part of the process, really, at the end of the day. Even though if it's just simple zoom ins and zoom outs and picture here, picture there, it still takes time. I'm sure anyone who does video editing understands that. But one idea I've had is like doing steelbook reviews of doing really short, like short and sweet 5 minute, but making more comedic. Maybe, I don't know.
justify your purchasing.
But no, just being like, I watched this. Here's what the case looks like. It's cool. I love this movie because I'm mostly only buying steelbooks for movies that I like or think I'd be interested in. I'm not buying I'm not doing like, okay, guys, I'm doing here.
Here's
like,
my
I'm not
Walmart
like
pickup today.
yeah, like I'm only doing ones that I like, and as they come out, I pre-ordered 28 Years Later. So I'm like, maybe I save my review for when that I get that, I rewatch it, and then be like, do I still think this was good? I watched it on the Steelbook. I'm gonna watch maybe bonus features, maybe, and I can be like, oh, I thought the bonus features were cool. I don't know, but I also want to tie it to different like settings. There's one that I was supposed to do, but we unfortunately had to cancel going. But I could still do it at any point because it's.
I know what one you're
movie
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just say it's Tombstone. I'll just leave it as that, and I think that'll happen eventually, but maybe not this year, but maybe next year, or maybe later. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I feel you where it's like I want to accomplish these things, but also like where we both, like I said, this is a working man's podcast. Like there's only trying to be realistic and not burn ourselves out because then it doesn't become fun anymore. So.
Yeah.
We try to make it happen. Sometimes we gotta pick and choose, and I'll say that if anyone was still watching, who's like I said, wanting to do stuff like this, don't like dream big for sure. Don't do it. No, just kidding. Dream big, but like, yeah, don't burn yourself out. You know what I mean? Like, do what you want to do, and like that's one thing I've learned the hard way. I feel like because I tried doing Twitch by myself for so long, and I wound up feeling like I was not even enjoying the games I was playing, or I was losing time on other things that I could have been doing, whether it's outside of that stuff or like creatively in other ways, because I was so worried about being like, oh, I need to do this many times, or I need to do this, I need to finish this game, even though I'm hating it, or I don't want to play this game in a streaming sense. I just want to sit on my couch and not.
That's always the hard part for me is like finding that line of like, what do I actually want to have as a video or a stream, and what do I just want to do myself? But then like thinking like, well, how do I then use that for this? You know what I mean? And it is in conversation and whatnot. Because I want to bring back, because I used to do this was almost a year ago when I kind of started this. I did it for a couple months. So Stinky Platinum's streams as a news like podcast in a sense, as a live stream thing while playing the game, and that format did not work because like you don't know how long some of these games are, and some of them it's like I'm not really talking, thinking about what I'm trying to say because I'm focusing on the game, stuff like that. I have a new version of that idea that is not live. It is a video that would be edited, and I need to do some of the work for that. But I want to bring that back. But that is like you said, like it's a lot of like willingness and effort to start a thing, and then once you start the thing, it's like, okay, I should keep doing this because like I made it into a thing. If I give up on the thing, then was it something I really want to do in the first place? And what does that mean for the rest of all this stuff? You know, I'm doing this summer PS3 stuff, and I said, I don't know if I said it on camera anywhere, but I told you like 3 years ago, I think this was 2022, I was doing it on Twitch. I was starting on Twitch, and my plan literally was like in 1 month, 30 streams that were like,
I remember, yeah,
3-4 hours, if not all day on the days I had off of work, because I worked at a place at the time that did not have. My 2 days off would be random, essentially. Like they would not be like I have now, where it is an actual weekend. You know what I mean? Like an actual Monday through Friday job. But yeah, that's what I wanted. Like all throughout the month of July, let's say. What I don't remember. It may have been August. Yeah, just stream every day, and I had packed with these things, and that's when I like burnt out completely on streaming, and I had a YouTube channel that was separate at the time to upload like slightly edited chunks from the streams and all that stuff, and like, no, there's got to be a better way, and so that's why I like how I do the trophy hunting stuff now, where it is once a week on Sundays. I have 3 different games at any given time, and I'm rotating through each of them, so I'm not doing just the same game every time where I get like then bored of it. I'm always looking forward to every game, and I want that relation. I want it to be like, ooh, I can't wait for this, because if I know personally, if I keep doing that thing that I can't wait to do all the time, then I burn out, and I'm like, I'm just not interested anymore. And it's been fun. I've been able to keep up with that, but the Summer PS3 thing now is once a week. And instead of in 1 month, all 30 of them in 1 month, it's like it was the end of June till the end of September. You know what I mean? Doing all of those. And the one for this week is going to be interesting. I have some videos that I told you I need to redub audio for. But fortunately, I don't have to lip sync for them because my head wasn't on camera for those. But I'm going to get those up and put them on the channel. Probably, or maybe around the time this goes up, I'll have one. I don't know. But it's like you said, like burning out and finding like, if folks want to do something like this at home, even just talking like this, like, it takes a bit of a commitment to be like, we do this podcast you can find on a variety of services. There's a thing up there that has all of the platforms on it. So we're on audio platforms, and the podcast does better on those audio platforms than here on YouTube, which is how you're watching us if you're watching us here on YouTube. And I look at those numbers. But still, like, regardless of that, we're not too big for it to be noticeable when we don't do it and then come back too much. But that is generally the thing of, like, if you're going to be doing a podcast, for instance, like, do it every week. Or if it's every 2 weeks, like, don't turn it into a once in a lifetime thing, once on a whim.
That'd be that'd be funny. Be like a podcast is one episode, but then if you find a way to make it funny, then you could, I guess, do it.
Listen,
but yeah,
I want to know more about this, but there was some fan group of Kind of Funny in Minnesota that this was years ago, because I was searching on the Apple Podcasts app. This was years ago too. For one of the many different podcast feeds they had stuff on. And I think they recently combined a lot of them, made it easier. I watch mostly everything on YouTube. Podcasts to me are a visual thing at this point. But there was a fan podcast that was like using the cadence and naming stuff like they were a part of Kind of Funny, and they had just Minnesota and then a part of it. And they were doing like the same type of, not bits, but like the structure of it was like that. And I'm like, and there was only one episode, because I feel like someone would have been like, hey, can you like maybe change your name.
I mean,
like,
that is kind of
it's a little
funny, though.
confusing.
It's
but
like a cover band. I mean,
in a sense.
Okay, hypothetical. If cover bands are allowed to exist, could you do a cover channel? I mean, I get,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You know, like if
feel
there
like
was a
yes.
kind of funny where they dress up like them and like,
That would
you
be
know what I mean?
funny.
Like
The
just the whole
is
9 yards.
Is putting like I don't want to say the adults aside, because that is I would consider like a professional organization aside, or like Giant Bomb or anyone that came from like the I don't want to say like established media side of the video game industry. Putting them aside, I would say those are the adults in the room in this space that we occupy. You want to do a cover band of one of these streamers, they are not mature enough to handle that. They would be pissed. They would be really pissy and drama about the whole thing, and it just wouldn't, like, yeah, like legally you'd be fine, I feel like, I'm sure, like, and like it would be funny and there'd be nothing wrong with it, but like these people can't handle it. I don't know if I could even, honestly. Like I'd be a little,
I give them a lot of credit if they're like
I don't know who these assholes are, but we're gonna do
or
their thing.
Chronicles of S rank, they call it, like just to be
Sure.
a play on like the Chronicles of Diesel.
We haven't done the Chronicles of Diesel in a long time because he hasn't done a thing. It's been over a year. It's been over a year.
We timed that, honestly, like I feel like perfectly. It was such a good like COVID sanity project because like it was one of the few things like when shit was really bad during COVID. I at least I felt like I was like, man, everything, it really does suck that everything's closed down and like movie theaters, all that stuff, or just in just life, right? Life just felt really shitty. It was really nice to be like, okay, well, this month we're watching this movie, and then like especially the early, like the first like 10 or 15 movies was like kind of really cool to watch in like a historical way, being like, man, this guy really did come from like this like the passion of just doing these small little roles, and then
now he's like drunk on stage saying that he kind of does want to do more Fast and Furious, and the studio is like, what do you mean that you want to do a third one? No. Like stuff like that.
But like,
a third finale, and
we timed that perfectly because there was still stuff coming out, but it wasn't that many, and we just like and it ended like in a good
we caught up
point.
Yeah. And it will keep going. Obviously, he needs to put out something in order for us to do it. Because there was a point where we were like, well, what if we did this, like, and we could still bring it back. I need to make new visuals for it as a podcast layout. And I'd probably do it differently than how we do the Sonic Movie Show. Have a different design language for it. But we had the idea of like a special episode every quarter of the year. You know what I mean? And just
where we rewatch one of them,
or not even that. Just be like, just like even just like us interviewing someone and be like, "Hey, you like Vin Diesel?" Like, let's just talking to random people or anything. You know what I mean? Do these special episodes, but we never got around to it because we were in the midst of S rank planning stuff, and we were doing streams. That's right. Is that they basically stopped right before we started. Sorry, just had a sneeze there. Before we started our streaming initiative with Pokemon, it was one of our first ones. And our 4th of July, where we used a different country's flag. Well, we were doing those, but like it was the summer last year. It was about a year ago when we actually started this.
Is it only been a year? It feels like we've been streaming longer for whatever reason.
No. We would do a reaction to a Fast and Furious trailer. And we would do like the Game Awards, the Dice Awards.
The 4th of July one with the flag was pretty good. That was a good banger to start off with.
There's a lot of stream stuff I want to do as well, like one-off stuff. And you see, I know people give it a derogatory term of friend slop, but a lot of these PC Steam indie games that have what's the word? And when people talk about it, they seem like they talk it like it's this brand new technology, and I'm like, no, that's something that Rust had in 2013, proximity chat. If you're nearby, you can hear someone speak. We were doing that in Rust years ago. But like all of these games, like that's where a lot of the humor is hearing someone's voice fade away as they fall down the mountain in Peak,
I know exactly what that. I mean? I've seen that clip on TikTok, which it was funny. Like I get it. Like
I didn't see that, but
it's this generation's Gary's Mod and Call of Duty.
Yeah,
like
it's that genre of like I would consider Among Us is in that, Lethal Company, Content Warning, Peak are in that now, and even to an extent games like Supermarket Together, any of these types of things, or it is just like you're kind of goofing around, and those make great streams with groups of people, but they're not that. I look at Peak, for example. I watched Giant Bomb do it, and there was 8 people playing. I think they said they had to use mods to be able to have up to 16 or something. I don't know. 8 people. I'm like, God damn, this is so funny. This looks so fun. I want to get this. And I had to pause and be like, after you do this once, then you guys start to be like, all right, we should probably actually get a little serious and actually try to win and not just mess around. And so then what's the loop? And are you really going to want to do this? Because a lot of the fun is not actually doing it. And so like, I feel like those games, when people say that they're streamer bait, it's mean because they are fun games. They look like they're fun games at the very least, but they are more of like, hey, these are the types of games that will sell a lot of copies because people will watch streamers play them like crazy, and then like they'll just sell copies because of that. But at the same time, I would love to do some of those with you, me, and David. You know what I mean, like that type of thing.
But
as well. But then when it comes down to like you have to buy some of these, again, we are a working man's podcast. Like I buy a lot of games for me. But like the budget of being like, all right, buy this one game on Steam, all of us would have to buy it, that type of thing. Yeah. Like
once in a while we'll jump on like a Marvel's Rivals off stream, even
a free to play game.
Yeah, that will
helps.
Yeah, like Helldivers too, you know, we went in because we were fans of the first one more so than anything. But
and then David got it because of TikTok, not because of us. It'll never be because of us. I've never been able to I have convinced that man to buy Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain when it came out, and a Switch with Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I convinced him of them, yet he has retroactively decided it was YouTube videos instead that convinced him.
He's always been a kind of YouTube review. Hey, you know what? We need more people like him. You know, they watch our movie reviews, and what, you know, there's a David out there for everybody, maybe, and those are the people that help maybe these channels grow. So we shouldn't hate too much. But David is very much of, and I love him for it because it's funny to me that he is very much like
him for it.
I appreciate your opinion, but I'm gonna Google it and see what other people think too. Yeah. He's looking at the Amazon reviews, you know, like he's just going through like.
Dude, I would say something tech related of like. This piece of hardware is capable of this metric of performance. And it'd be like, there's no way. But like, it is, though. Like, my word isn't enough. He needs a YouTube man to tell him the same thing. And we're laughing saying all this because, like, it is just funny. But you know, hopefully, you know, one of these days, the hammer of God will strike and give me some inspiration to become that type of YouTuber in your life as well. Not really, but yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about all the things that we've done on the channel and things vaguely gesturing towards things that we would like to do.
And I'm promising none of them because then if they happen, they happen. If not,
right.
Wait, I never promised it.
I will say I'm proud and whatever. You know, the visual stylings that are of our channel, like I'm proud of that because it does stand out more than
I keep saying these gold rings we should have been doing since day one because it like fits the Sonic, like with the movie specifically with the portal to like I always, that's how I look at it now where I'm like Sonic's just thinking about us.
I just think it looks nice and prestige, and that was why I did that. If anything, I kind of regret not making the words "the Sonic Movie Show" also have be edged like with 2 different gradients, like how these rings are. But yeah, no, like for people that want to get into, not that we can really give solid advice because we don't have like the success to really be like, yep, you should definitely listen to us. But yeah, people that have been doing this for 6 years. Right, April of 2019 is when we first did a thing.
And separately, we've done our own stuff too, and learned from it. So
there's a dog behind you.
See, that's what's great. You know, I get the dog cam now. Even
maybe I'll do the podcast from this chair. You know what I mean? I'll probably have the mic come from.
It was pretty comfy when I was there.
Yeah, I'm just not leaning back. because the mic will fall. But,
you have to
if
have
I
it
put it on the other
to where
one,
it rocks with you. But somehow
attach it to the actual thing.
Yeah.
I want to get a new mic arm, but
Meow, meow, meow.
advice
Jeez.
time for people that want to do something. If you can take our word for it as being as old doing the stuff as we have, presentation I feel like does matter because it's a very easy way to set yourself apart. I'm not a big fan of like buying the streamer packages of like visual effects and layout because they all look the same and everyone knows like, hey, I see this visual language before, whether it's how pop-ups happen and stuff like that. Like if you're able to make something yourself, that's one thing. Cool. I learned a lot in the process of making all this stuff over the course of years, and it's finally at a point with all of this, with the streaming layouts and whatnot as well, finally like proud of like, yeah, I think this is good. Before it's like, this is as good as I can make it, and like, I hope it's not bad. So whatever, like let's say you don't even get to all that stepping stones that I've been doing. If you have the money to commission someone for a layout, it might be worth it. If you're going to do a stream, depending on what the price is. I don't know, but like I think a visual thing is important to help you stand out. I do not think you need to go crazy on buying equipment. You do not need great camera.
I literally said earlier,
you do not
I have
need a great microphone.
$10
These are Blue Yeti mics. They're okay. They're okay.
But if you put a noise gate on it and just Google like that kind of
because
noise
the average
suppression,
person doesn't know and they don't care, honestly, because personality and whatnot rings. I mean, how many TikToks are there of people using a boom mic or maybe even an actual lav mic on their collar, but yet they're holding in their hand the Apple EarPods microphone because that somehow became the visual language of man on the street or woman on the street, like TikToker to hold like the part on the cord, up to like somehow like that,
on
and
the ground,
so people don't really care,
kind of thing. Yeah,
I work with children, and a number of times one of them has like asked me a question and has done this. I'm like,
that's actually really
you
funny.
little idiot! Stop watching TikTok. Like you need, and I literally have taught some of these kids what a lav mic is. Not that I own any. I would love to. Please, if anyone out there, if you work at Rode, RODE with like the slash, it's like they're like European, I think, or something. Actually, I know a lot about your company. You're really cool. If you want to send me equipment, I would love an XL. I would love your Rodecaster Pro 2. I would also love a set of mics and a new arm because this arm sucks. There's Blue Yeti, but sucks. I'd love your equipment, please. Set Devin as well, but like, I kind of need it more. But you don't need a lot of that stuff to be doing this stuff because most people won't notice and won't care. There's a podcast I back on Kickstarter, and I'm not gonna name them right now because I'm kind of calling them out, but I think they're great. There's a great podcast that makes money, right? Which is already a huge success if you can make money off people off, not Kickstarter, Patreon. I said Kickstarter, I meant Patreon. But they have a lot of viewers and listeners, and again, there's a Patreon that they make a lot of money on, and they literally record all 3 of the microphones into one Audacity track, and it's fine. Granted,
crazy.
They do use a Rodecaster 2 Pro to do all the levels in a live setting. That's also kind of what we do, just digitally in our OBS windows to manage our stuff and Audacity backup tracks and stuff like that. So, like, I think that podcast sounds great. It's all done in one track, one mono track, right? And I didn't notice until they said that. So it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like there's always a way to do it better and sound more professional, look more professional, and be more professional. But we haven't had the point where we feel like that's the thing we need. You know what I mean? We're not at that point where like the only way to get better is to be buying better equipment. You know what I mean? Is to be doing all this stuff. We're not at that point. We're like, there's the only way up is through money. You know what I mean? Maybe money. And advertising,
if you have money, you can buy ads at that point, and you can artificially boost yourself up. That's why you sometimes see these folks sometimes pop up out of nowhere. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but like there's definitely is examples of people being like, oh, how did this person? Oh, well, they're a former athlete. Maybe they didn't make it in the league, but like they have a couple millions of dollars that they can throw at ads on Twitter, and now they get average of 100 viewers on Twitch, and that's enough to keep them, to at least give them something to roll with, and they can build off of.
That would be
that's
fun.
one thing that's one thing I've learned through marketing in my real job, is that like, yeah, unfortunately, there is a level of, that's my other advice, is like going in with the point of creativity and having fun with it. If your sole goal is to, that one YouTuber I watch seems to make a lot of money, I'm gonna do this YouTube thing for money. You're not gonna make any money. If anything,
all of
we
the
are
second
negative.
generation. Oh, yeah, and we are negative in the hole.
We would have to make probably a couple thousand to get out of the hole. Maybe
I'd say
more.
so. I would say so. I mean, I've purchased equipment. Granted, here's the thing: it's a hobby I really enjoy. It's very fun for me. So like, I don't look at the some of these like lights and stuff that aren't on right now, because again, I'm not in front of the computer. I don't look at any of that equipment or even the software packages I've purchased as like, oh man, this needs to make its money back. Like, it doesn't even occur to me. These are just, I feel fortunate that I have these, because I can do a little bit more than the baseline person who doesn't have them. How can I take advantage of them? But at the same time, like, if you're in a financial situation where you can't do that, as long as you are able to get a microphone and a camera, you're good. You know what I mean? You can start from somewhere. And the advice I would give too, besides like keep going, just for the sake of a podcast, like I listen to podcasts, and there are people who listen to many different types of podcasts than the types of gaming stuff I listen to. There are other types out there. Even though I feel like the origin of podcasts, as far as popularity is concerned, is kind of in the video game sphere, and back in like the 2006
that are like
5 era
talk shows,
and the My Brother and Me, and like those types of comedy stuff.
Talk shows,
Yahoo Answers,
where it's like, we used to be a former radio, and now we made our own separate thing, and so you can follow us on. If you can't follow us on Sirius XM anymore, you can now listen to the show on iTunes at the time.
But, there are people that listen to a lot of different things. But the one thing that you need to understand is that, like, the overwhelming majority of those people aren't following you. Like, you pop up on the feed, and they'll listen to you, and they get used to be like, cool, every Monday, there's a new this, there's, that. But they might not be on your Twitter, or your Instagram or whatever, to like keep up with you. So then, like, if you are sporadic and you start to lose that, and you're no longer like every week or whatever your cadence was, your frequency, however often you were, once you kind of like get out of their habit, you're gone. Because it's harder to pick it back up.
And that's
there's
how it works
podcasts I just haven't. Yeah. Once I like, on my own reasons, like start using that time for something else, I just never go back. And when I do, like, okay, cool, maybe I feel guilty. Like, should I have to catch up? No, just start from here. Like, you're never gonna catch up. You have to use this time wisely for other things. So keep that in mind. But then also, like, this podcast was named the Sonic Movie Show out of a bit. And we had to name the channel something else, and I love our channel name and the concept and everything behind it. But this podcast was started off the base idea of like, hey, if we're gonna be doing a thing, let's have that thing be something no one else is doing. And God help them if there is someone else doing it. Can you do better? And no one was doing a podcast about one very specific movie that
we
wasn't
thought
out
was
yet.
That we thought was going to be a bomb, and then the show was probably going to end. The end result, at least in my head, was like, hey, the movie will come out, we'll review it a couple times, and then end the show, or maybe do a new movie or whatever, or I don't know, just whatever happened naturally out of it. The end goal really was just like, okay, we have 9 months to build up into this.
This was just
and
a funny thing.
originally we started it and then didn't do it for like 6 months, and then we
Right, and then
because the movie got delayed, and then we went back at it again, and then the
Yeah.
movie wound up being good, and then we're like, oh crap, should we just keep doing this for the second movie? And then
Yeah, maybe.
this happened naturally. So yeah, it's another thing is like sometimes you naturally fall into something. But yeah, finish your main thought, which I think I know what you're going to say.
Also, by the way, don't listen to any of the early episodes of this podcast. Maybe start when we were on video.
Yeah.
You know, maybe be like, I don't know, just
Might be some
it's just
gems in
weird.
the rough, but
I'm
that's-
proud
yeah.
of like the movie reviews. Definitely listen to those. But regardless, like do something that's unique so that you actually are like the one that's doing it, and you're not just in a sea of other. There's a lot of podcasts, and listen, I love white guys. It's easy because I'm a white guy. But there's a lot of podcasts that's like two white guys talking about comic book movies and video games. And we just do video games and regular stuff. I don't know what we do here at this point, honestly. But there's a lot of this demographic. There's just a million people. So you got to do something that's unique, right? But the main key thing that is important, and I didn't realize this until much later, until honestly around last year, is making sure that the things that you're doing are something that you actually really, really like doing. And if you're able to do it at a comfortable pace, and you're able to do things where you maybe introduce new ideas into your thing that you enjoy, then it actually starts to melt all of the like, oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I got like all that stuff goes away, right? Like for me personally, once I kind of folded the Twitch stuff I was doing into here and finding a way to like not have it being all encompassing part of my life where it immediately burns out and I'm like, I do not want to do thing I like anymore. You know, finding a way to do that, introducing that slowly, has made me actually really, really like the thing I was doing in the first place, to the point where like it dawned on me like the other day, like, yeah, that is my hobby and I really enjoy doing that. And I've met people online that do that, and that's not something I would have thought about because I was treating it more like a job, in a like, this needs to be successful, and this is the way I need to do it. And all those ideas were terrible, like bouncing around between needing to do the extreme in one direction and the extreme in the other
If
direction.
you're making it a part-time job, the reason we all hate our job is because we gotta go to our job, and if it starts to feel like a job
Right.
in that aspect, of course, I really do believe anytime you have a job, there's going to be, even if it's your dream job, there's going to be shit you don't like about it. That's just how life is.
Especially if you get into like an actual business for that thing, then then that changes. I mean, as soon as there are other like people in that endeavor you're doing, though, that's now a workplace. Even though it's a hobby that you were doing, and once it becomes a workplace, now you have to handle that stuff. Because guess what? There's not that we've ever argued about anything or like fought about things related to this.
Every quarter we we force ourselves to beat the shit out
Devin's
of
been
each
in
other.
town more often than you would think. It's just that we can't be on camera because one of us is covered in black eyes and bruises.
And it's fair game. It's like it can happen at any moment.
But not that we've ever fought or really ever argued, but like our own personal ideas of what we would do on a channel are they're not the exact same, right? So there's things that would be different, like you would do that I would do, and so like finding that balance in a way where it's like cool, as long as we're both doing the things that we want to do and then doing also things together, then it becomes like a collaborative thing that's fun. You know what I mean? So like folks out there wanting to kind of start up something like this, taking it slow might be hard because I personally am always like, oh, I just want to, like I was mentioning how I like been doing research stuff, and like I have all these Excel files of like lists and planning out stuff, and like sometimes in my head I'm like, I just want to start this and start doing this and this and then this. No. You do the work ahead of time to plan it out, and then you give it a slow pace because it's very easy to burn yourself out, and then it's not fun anymore, like Devin's saying. But that being the same point, when I was saying like it was about a year ago where I was like really really having fun doing this, this whole thing was at a point where like it got to that pace where like new ideas, things I really wanted to do, but not having the freedom to do them on any whim all the time. Right? There's a part of me where I was like, I really wanted to do Pokemon streams every week. You know what I mean? But like not being able to do that kind of then makes it more fun and more special, right?
More of an event, yeah.
I was at work, not yesterday, last week, maybe it was on Friday, I don't know. And hearing someone talk about a hobby, I was overhearing a conversation, a hobby they were doing. I actually didn't even remember what the hobby was. You know, I think it was like sewing or knitting or something like that.
Crocheting.
And no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that specifically. I think it was sewing or knitting. And they were making things, and someone else had said, "Oh yeah, I mean, you would probably do really well if you started at, like actually selling some of this stuff." And the person was like, "No, because as soon as I start this as a job, it's not fun anymore, and I don't want. I just want this to be fun." And I'm sitting there thinking about my own hobby, which is honestly a lot of this stuff and the trophying stuff, which I've molded into this stuff. And I'm like, no, there's a way to make it work. There's a way to make it work as long as you're not trying to kill yourselves to do it. Granted, we haven't turned this into a job that makes money, but I have turned a lot of my time into part-time. I've turned that time into like a part-time job type of thing. It's just using it wisely and smartly. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, like being like, okay, I can spend this amount of time each day working towards stuff like this. What's the best way to do it? Planning things, researching for things, filming things, editing things. Like, there's a lot of different facets to this. And I know you were talking about having to edit clips. And that takes up a lot of time. And if that's all you did for your contributions to the channel, then that would be understandably sucky to do, right? And then the fulfillment starts to melt away, and it's no longer, you just see that bone of like obligation, right, that's sitting there. But once I feel like you get into a spot, and maybe it works out because there's only two of us, where there's a lot of different things where you can be as like accomplished individually, or like, I need to do this and this and this and this. And because there's no real deadlines for any one thing in particular, then it is just like, cool, I can have fun doing this hobby that is part-time job in terms of the amount of hours it could take, in a way where it's still like fun. At least that's the point where I'm at now. I mean, even with I like trophy hunting. I've said that many times. I have maybe 3 or 4 games right now that I'm bouncing between that I would love to platinum, because I'll get really into one and it just gets not put on a back burner. It's still in the foreground, but like there's a few other things as well, and I'm trying to just like hopping around between them all, and they're all getting done. But it isn't just like, oh, I gotta do this now, and I feel obligated to do this and that, and I'm just not that type of person. And so whenever I hear someone be like, I don't want to do my hobby as a job, I feel like there is a way to do it no matter what, if you're able to take charge of it yourself. Because it's one thing to be like, I love baking, and then you go work at a bakery where your boss is telling you to do things, and it's like, well, I didn't mean this. You know what I mean? That's different. Taking control of your own thing, I feel like, is important. But you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I think I generally agree. I feel like I don't know, I know people who are like, I think, really great artists who purposely don't, like, I'm always like, oh, I don't, do, or whether it's artists or like people I know who are like really good with like parts, right? Or like knowing how to put a computer together, and like,
sure,
maybe they do something on the side at most, but even then they're like, oh, I don't want to, like, oh, I think you could make, or you have a following. Some people have followings and don't like care for it, which I get, like, to a certain extent. Like, sometimes I just want to, some people grew up with, of like, Facebook used to be just a place, right, where you just post your photos from your vacation and you call it as it is, as opposed to, I need to find a way to market this and do all the
right.
XYZ with it. But let's say, like if you're really good with like computer parts and you love building computers for your own computer, right? Like, there's people who that's their what they like to do. They like to buy the newest graphics card and swap it out or whatever. And it's like, you might be like, oh man, you probably could, like, since you're really good at it, like you probably could make 500 extra bucks a month or whatever it is, right? If you just, posted about it a little bit or went on Twitter or whatever it is, right? Or hey, why don't you, there's some artists I follow who, like, they had to stop because it became too much, where they're like, yeah, I need some money, so I started doing stickers, but then there was too much demand for it, right? And then it's like a negative problem because they're not prepared for it. So I think I agree with it, and I think I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, I think, like, sometimes things happen naturally. Sometimes you fall into something, and like,
look, I got to the point of happiness with doing this naturally from not having it right away and finding it. So yeah,
I mean, like, I feel you, because, like, as kids, like, I always had my camcorder and I would shoot whatever the stupid shit we were doing, and I liked video editing for the sake of, I want to make something fun that we all can watch later. Like, oh, remember that night where we did this stupid shit or whatnot. And like that, once I realized, we grew up once again with the era of the Let's Plays with the Giant Bombs, the Machinimas, and all those other different, like, YouTubers and of that era. And now it's the streaming era, like we're a little bit older.
Now it is a for-profit enterprise, because like the early YouTube type people, they are still around, but that like 2010, 11, 12 era people that came on the scene then, they were more of like, I can make money off of this, and most of them fell off because the reality of making money off YouTube didn't happen, right? And so now it is like one lucky person out of a billion gets to be noticed on Twitch and can make millions of dollars. Yeah, by doing. I didn't mean to do a Trump cadence there.
We have too much Trump brain rot.
Unfortunately, we didn't even vote for him. But like, we're at the point now where it's like you can see so many people be like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy, and like, yeah, maybe you're not gonna be. Are like that guy. Maybe you could be, but maybe you're not. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that as like a talent or anything like that, but just like you being on camera finding yourself could be like that guy, but probably not. You're probably something different, right? You know what I mean? Or maybe an amalgamation of three guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, hey, I'm gonna say it. Memetic memes. Genes are DNA. Memes are like DNA, but of culture. So when something is memetic, they are ideas that are passed down. Hideo Kojima talked about that in Metal Gear Solid 2, all right? But the word meme got turned into funny joke. But still, it is also a meme because it gets passed down and spread around. That's part of it.
Yeah,
but like,
I thought you were saying another word when you were saying memetic, and I'm like, what the fuck is he saying? And it took me a second. But
point being is that, like, hey, you can look at, I love these 4 streamers. Let's say you're one of these kids that watches a lot of streamers. I like these 4 streamers. Maybe they're a little bit different. You could literally be a memetic amalgamation, just like you are a genetic amalgamation from your parents. Right? You know what I mean? Like, of those types of people, I feel like you and I, in different ways, are memetically amalgamated from different types of people, right?
It's influences. It's no different. It's no different than the band you listen to, whatever your favorite band is. They were influenced by whoever came before them, and therefore,
yes. Your favorite drummer's favorite drummer is what's his name from Rush. Like, it's that idea.
Right. Like, it always stems back to that. Yeah. And I think that's important to remember, but also don't overthink it. Just like being yourself is more the authentic thing, I think, to try to do. Something I struggle with a lot is, to this day, and that's one, maybe this will be, once again, some inspiration, I guess, or whatever. Because I wish some of my favorite people would talk about what we're talking about a bit more, just more of the kind of behind the curtain a bit, I guess, so to speak, or just like what it is really like. And like one thing I still struggle with is like trying to be. Sometimes I fall into that, like what you're saying, like, oh well, this worked for this person. Do I need to do something like that? And you start hyper focusing on every little detail about yourself. Or at least for me, because I always had issues with confidence level. Yeah, again, I suck.
Joking.
But and so I still struggle with this, like, to this day, where there's been podcast episodes we recorded where I'm like, man, I wish I said I wanted to say it like this, and I watch it back when I'm editing it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, God damn it! Like what I meant to say was something closer to this, and I didn't say it like that.
That happens
I
to
think,
me too, where it's
but then you think
forget to say
about
something that and makes my whole entire point stupid because I didn't say the key thing,
Yeah.
or I had this assumption that they knew they had this baseline knowledge that I never even set up. So it's like, well, I'm just an idiot.
yeah. But then I remember I'm like, there's been plenty of times I've watched something and like maybe they said something awkward, but I'm like, I don't just move on. Like it's not a big of a deal, or
There's very
as you
few
think it is.
fans that remember everything. Like you'll see in YouTube comments sometimes, or some of these bigger like channels and whatnot. Oh, but blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and back and they may even say like a general like time frame that's close to like a specific month and a year.
Or
And
you
it's
said
like,
in
Jesus,
this
how do you
specific
remember
video
this?
at this timestamp, you said this, and it's like, okay, yeah.
It's like, oh my god, like. Oof. So
Yes,
yeah.
maybe I said the Batman was great one
But then
day, and then I
people
said it was bad the
also-
next.
People also read too much into certain things sometimes. Where like, these, I don't think these two people like each other. Like I've listened to podcasts in the past where like that has come up where people are like, and apparently you and I don't like each other type of thing, and because like you're just too comfortable with someone, and there are people who think too fondly of their own ability to empathize and read people, and then they kind of just make up things, where like they see, and then they make phantom, because it's a big parasocial relationship they have with their entertainment thing,
Which is a whole other conversation, and I always think is more of a problem than a benefit at this point.
The first time I ever, I don't think that term wasn't used in the moment, but that I'm going to talk about. But the first time I understood that idea was an episode of The Comedy Button. It was like, or I think it was an early episode of The Comedy Button, but I had been listening to the GameSpy debriefings before people got let go from IGN and all that. And it was a Kickstarter initially for The Comedy Button, then it became a Patreon. But Scott Bromley, and on that, and I know you told me that they shut it down a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, they did,
because
like,
it was kind of just running its thing, and
they
whatnot.
had new guests on, but like I think Brian Altano and Scott Bromley were like and Max Scoville, I think, were the last of like the OGs at that point. I don't remember who. I fell off around like episode 200, but like I think they got to like 800
Same.
or something like that. So
I remember it was before the Star Wars movies were coming back. That was literally the last time I had watched or listened. But anyway, so it was
big
even
influence
early.
on us, by the way.
I remember introducing it to you.
Yes.
I remember the very specific episode where
that was my first real podcast I listened to, because I didn't understand it conceptually until you're like, oh, it's kind of like a radio show, but like not on the radio. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of like YouTube, but not YouTube.
yeah.
So-
But this episode, like they early days, really like busting each other's balls and whatnot, and joking around, and it's very funny. And this an episode like Scott Bromley was talking about how he was at a bar with his wife, and I'm sure there were other people there he knew. I don't know, friends, family, whatever. And random person there recognized him. And it's not like because they were on IGN, so they would have been on camera in some capacity, and bylines have photos and social media, all that stuff. So dude probably visually recognized him as well. And like, I don't know what it was said, and I'm sure he did say what was said in that podcast episode, but dude was like, who Scott Bromley did not know, was like immediately like in that busting the balls. Like, imagine if someone came up to you and called you jerkwad, because that was something I called you on an episode.
Yeah.
It was that level, and he was like, don't fucking talk to me like that. Like, that was what Scott had said. Maybe not verbatim, but like something to that taken aback. People, what the fuck are you doing?
You said
like,
it
I'm in front of my wife. Like, I don't know who you
inside,
are.
not an inside joke, but you said a joke
Like,
between two
you
friends.
know me, but I don't know you. And like, this is this would have been in like 2014, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah. I guess it just didn't even dawn on me like that is how it is. Like, I knew those people very, very well, and like so many fans fantasize about being the new guy on there. And guess what? Whenever an established group of people on the internet in some sort of podcast or video gets a new guy, everyone hates that person because of some like Mary Sue hating type of thing going on there, and they all wish it was them instead. It's usually jealousy is the point of why you don't like the person, not any actual legitimate,
or they're
things
replacing because someone.
But everyone
left.
wants to be that person as well, right? But like, I'm like, oh yeah, I would probably have been that. Honestly, until it was like really hit home, like, yeah, that's fucking weird. And that's why I feel like the kids understand that better nowadays, because mainly like they can embarrass themselves on social media to a lot of these TikToker people almost directly and have that person be like, fuck you. Why are you talking to me like that?
Yeah, the ability to respond. Actually, like earlier today I watched, like, it was just a random guy. I've never watched his videos before on TikTok, but he popped up in my feed where, like, because on TikTok you can respond to a comment and make a full video of it, and the comment is like at the top of the corner of the video, and like you're saying, like, I think the younger generation understands that because of the fear of public humiliation from the return, like you can't, which is good, but I think there's some instances where it's really bad because you have a cult following parasocial relationship.
Oh, yeah, dogpiling.
Yeah, where,
like, fuck you.
Oh, now that creators can dox you on Instagram stories or whatnot, and create a whole big thing. Regardless, this guy, like, he like wrote a book about like the science of music, and like I don't know jack shit about music theory. I can barely understand notes and time signatures at a very kindergarten level. But I do follow it. Like, I try to like look at that stuff when I can and learn from those people. But he was responding to a comment where someone's like, when he announced about his book, someone's like, oh, but do you actually even play instruments, or some, rude comment like that. So the guy went on his profile, like on the video, and saw that he does like original music. And instead of just like he still kind of roasted him, but not in a way that was like, fuck you, your music's dog shit. He's like, oh, I listened to your one song that you wrote. He's like, you're playing this chord and this chord. I'd really recommend you do this chord because you can do it like this. And he was basically like giving him feedback on the song. He's like, and it seems like you were actually, this is very similar to this one Beatles song. So not sure if you were influenced or trying to copy that, but this is what they did. And he basically did like a 7-minute video about like how he could have made his song better. And like, I just thought that was a funny way of the example of what you're talking about.
It's killing them with kindness.
Killing them with kindness a bit, but
which is tough because I'm a natural born hater.
Natural born hater.
I just love to hate.
Just like Shadow the Hedgehog.
I think you're gonna say just like Shaq.
Just like Shaq.
I think he's a hater at all. Right? When has he ever hated?
Oh, he's hated on my Timberwolves a couple times in the past, but now
but like in a non-deservingly so way. Like, has he ever been,
He falls in the sports entertainment book where I'm do they actually have any opinions?
I've seen arguments. I watched the arguing over gas and been filling up the tank. I am someone that lets it run down to empty, and I fill the whole thing up. And guess what? In my car, I have to put 93 in. I have to put the premium in my car. You got that premium.
Like my Lincoln. It cost
me over $70 to fill my tank.
Like my Lincoln back in the day. Now it takes an average of $40 to $50 to fill up a regular car. But back in the day when we were working at Kmart together, I had my grandpa's Lincoln at the time for that summer. And I remember I did the math where I'm like, 2 hours of work at this job covers the gas it takes to get to this job. Because it was
for the course of a week,
Yeah, I did the math wherever, and it was. I mean, I was working 2 jobs at the time, so I knew I was adding a little bit extra to it. But it was the 93 plus or whatever, because it was the boat of a car. And at the time, it was like $50, which in 2016 it was like, oh my god, $50! Like that's
it's $4
I barely
make
a
gallon this morning.
$8 an hour or whatever it was at the time. So.
I mean, I don't know. I took actually the last Tuesday, so the day after we did all those streams. I took I drive an Audi. I took it into
flex on him, King.
Whatever. I love the car though. Hey, you were in that car. We went to breakfast in that car. We didn't eat in the car. We drove to breakfast in that car. And I picked up those pizzas that ended up being free in that car. Not that I knew that was going to be the case, but they never fully charged me. But I took it into a mechanic that I have in the family. Many of cars have gone to them, and not that there was anything wrong with the car, but being like, hey, just I want to know the status of things, that type of how old is this? Has this been replaced at all? Like, I don't know that type of stuff for this vehicle because I bought it recently, used, obviously. And there are things in there that that will need to be done within the next year or so. That I am still waiting for a call back on what those prices would be, but it's probably going to be a couple thousand. Things like, oh, this line here is rusting. The oil pan is rusting in the corner. It's not that bad, but
the engine has a 1 in 1,000 chance of exploding after every brake press. So you might want to look into that.
All right, never breaking.
I know 1 in 1,000 is actually pretty high. I feel like that would scare me.
Yeah, that would scare me. Yeah, I took that in and I'm like, oh man, I had to drive out here. There's a lot of gas to be used to drive because this was not near me right now. But yeah, I mean, I think it's worth it, honestly, to pay for the more expensive gas. I know that sounds crazy, but the car drives cleanly and smoothly. It's weird. It's a feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels. I don't know. It might be placebo. Maybe I'm just being like, you know, how when you buy something expensive and you're like, yeah, this was actually this was good that I did this. You know what I mean?
When you get the new phone and it really is just the exact same, but you're like, the camera looks better. I think it does.
Listen, I'm still rocking my iPhone 13 mini.
Dude, I was gonna be there with you, man, until I literally ran out of, like, my phone had no storage space on it, and I was like, I couldn't even save photo. Like, I just couldn't save anything. Like, it was just like becoming, if my job wasn't what it was, I probably could have maybe got another like 6 months to a year out of it. Or I would have probably just got something used and cheaper. But I was like, for my job, I always need somewhat newish equipment. And but now I don't want a
new iPhone now because it's got the stupid AI shit in it.
Yeah, well, all the fucking phones have now like some sort of Copilot or whatever Microsoft calls it.
I guess from what I've read, Apple seems the most reluctant to get into it, and so it's not as like you can not have it on the iPhones, but I guess on like the Samsung stuff and a lot of the Google phones, like you can.
Apple's
now.
always been like, how can we get on this trend though in a way that 110% benefits us? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the only way they're gonna like really dive into it, is if it's like, how can we use this to like train the next whatever device we're making in the future, or subscription service, whatever it is. Like,
in this post Steve Jobs world where like nothing seems new anymore, it's all iPhone. Like everything is.
Well, don't worry, the dongle's new that you have to pay $25 separately for or whatever. You know, yeah, no fucking iPhones. Listen, I'm glad this podcast, by the way, like we always kind of dabble into it, but I'm glad that we're just becoming old men yell at clouds. Like, that is my dream goal actually for this show, is that we just become those guys just really hate everything.
Relative to the statistical audience that would watch this, we are old. And we're 30. We're not.
Everyone keeps saying Joe Rogan on the left. Maybe we're the Joe Rogan on the left. We just got to keep yelling. I don't want to
be a Joe Rogan. I want to be a man that thinks for himself.
Well, if we do like one more,
easily convinced.
If we do one more hour, though, we'll hit an average length of one of his episodes.
But don't worry. You do notice it's the extremely popular Democrats morning show on YouTube, right? It has 100 of views on every video.
I mean, unironically, we might average.
So they already have a Joe Rogan left. They get 100, plural. No, not plural, of views.
I'm saying we might average more than the average Democrat YouTube channel. I don't know. Yeah. Might be close.
And it's because we are being ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we're being us. We're being us. You know, we're not being anyone that wants us to be someone else. We're being us.
Yeah.
My cat right now is sitting on the floor in front of the monkey wrench I wanted to hold this in place with while I was in the bean.
By the way,
2 hours ago.
You were holding it up for a little bit, and now it just magically, your microphone has kind of stopped moving.
It's found its resting point, and that's why I'm not leaning back right now, because I tried at one point about an hour and a half ago, moving it towards me down here, and then it started to drift away. So I am leaning forward into this. But I do, maybe for this podcast, The problem is if we do any of the episodes that requires me to have things we interact with.
I thought about that.
Again.
My dream goal is to. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't want. Once again, not promise nothing, so don't get your hopes up too high, folks. But is to get a second microphone or use this microphone and move it somehow over there, where I can sit on the couch while we do these kind of podcasts. But then I thought about the same
Not every
thing
episode.
though, where
the
I'm
movie review episodes, I have to do work.
yeah. Or I always have like notes up for the movie review episodes where I'm like, oh, I want to maybe talk about, oh, this was cool that this actor was in this movie that I saw, or whatever it is. So I'm like, there's really only so many episodes we could really do on the couch.
Yeah.
Because our other podcast idea that hopefully will come out soon, we've been talking about it too often, and we need to just do it.
Computer access.
Yeah,
for sure.
Quite a bit.
And like, hey, I do have my old 2013 laptop. That the battery
probably still has Google Hangouts installed on there.
Well, that was a web application, right? So,
I think there was a. I thought there was a like app itself, because I remember that's where we found
this old laptop. The network card is shot, so not even Ethernet works, and the battery it just needs to be plugged in all the time. So it is a useless computer. Like if it connect to the Ethernet, not even Wi-Fi, but just by Ethernet, then it would be maybe useful. But I also don't want to get a laptop. That's just an unnecessary money sink for me. I want to buy a RetroTink. A RetroTink 4K is about $750. I could do so many cool retro gaming stuff on a 4K television and a part of our streams. We're using old consoles. But that's $750. Or I could buy the RetroTink 4K CE, all right, which is about $400. That is more affordable. I could get that. I could get that. I have right now on the counter my Atari 7800, all right? And I have 8 cartridges or video cassettes.
Still can't believe they made 7,800 different versions of it.
I know, crazy. Right? I have it sitting there and being like, I cannot play this on a TV that I own. But if I had a RetroTink, I could, right? But
I still have my...
I would like to capture footage on consoles. I have all of these. They're off camera here. I'd have to get up to reach to grab them. I set up on the coffee table here, which is not in a coffee table like formation.
Funko Pops.
All my PS... Oh, God, fuck those.
I just going to say, I get you mad.
I pass in the city. Underpass under a bridge has the word Funko Pop in one of those like cross-out red things. I love it so much. But I have all my PS2 games, PS1 games, PSP games, PS Vita games. And like a lot of these PS2 games I purchased, and I'm like, I would love to do a PS2 thing. Hey, very nerdy thing. But like for $50, you can get a MemCard Pro 2. Which is meant to be a memory card that you just put a micro SD card in. You can have virtual memory cards on the device. Cool for your PlayStation 2. They make one for the GameCube. They make one for the PlayStation 1. But one for PlayStation 2, through a recent patch, discovered, hey, there's enough bandwidth in this memory card slot for the system to load entire video games. So now you use that to hold all the video games, and you can play them off of the memory card. You're not having to jailbreak or mod the PlayStation 2 at all. And I'm sitting here going like, God damn, I would love to do a video series on this. You know what I mean? We're like delving into all these PS2 games, because it would be just, I would buy the thing, I'd get a RetroTink, I'd play this on an actual PS2, and we're off to the races. But yeah, it's just a money thing. And again, talking about like, don't spend more money than you can on, because treat it like a hobby type of thing. It isn't that point now where I'd be like, that is a little bit too much to be spending on this. Like maybe down the line type of thing, but too many ideas, you know what I mean? And I can do that idea of delving into a bunch of PS2 games in PCSX2, the emulator, and just doing it on the computer. I don't need to do it on the actual PS2. You know what I mean? So there's also that aspect for a lot of the things I want to do. I forget what we were talking about before I started talking about video game stuff. But it's been about 2.5 hours since we hit record.
That's what I'm saying. One more
probably
hour.
About 2 hours.
We're at the Joe Rogan level.
Oh, my God. That's the thing, too. Like, that dude does those 4-hour podcasts multiple times, like a week or something crazy. And so, like, trying to find things he's said to prove to him that he is an idiot is hard to do because how do you keep up with that shit?
Well, it's not
You'd
as
be
hard
crazy.
because he just goes, "Oh, that's interesting," and then he has three of his other producers in the background pull up anything. If he's like, "Oh, can you pull that up?" I'm not. I mean, I don't like him politically or anything, but
Fuck that guy. I don't care.
Fuck that guy. But he clearly knew what he was doing and knows how to do it to what he's trying to do. If that makes, well, I don't know if that made any sense,
like,
but he does. He's good
being known beforehand helps, right?
Yeah. Once again, going back to the thing where sometimes you're just already in the in. But yeah, he's good at doing what his thing is, and that's why Spotify gave him way too much money.
Yep. But yeah,
what was that like 6 years ago? That was like an unprecedented thing at the time, which was like
I don't remember.
He was
guess what Spotify's
exclusive.
most recent thing now? AI artists making AI songs, and then their AI. I don't really know what I would describe it as, but AI something or other is associating actual artists with the AI songs now. And so that's a big whole fuck you. But hey, when your entire music industry is the board of directors of your streaming app, of course the artist isn't going to make any money whatsoever because Sony Records and blah, blah, blah records and blah, blah, blah records, their presidents are all on the board of the streaming app. That's why you get to listen to everything. That's why it's all on there.
Yeah, the
it's
music industry
all the owners
needs like the equivalent of, not against the bands, but against the labels. There needs to be like best example would be like a 2008 housing collapse, where there needs to be like a streaming collapse that will force consumers and bands to just like go back to. But then at the same time, it will punish so many like bands who do rely on Spotify for discovery and whatnot. So there's no perfect way to do it.
The problem,
it's these labels. It's the labels, though. At the end of the day, it's
yes,
and then Spotify has a monopoly on.
Sure.
Outside of Apple Music, has a monopoly on the streaming. It's also just a streaming problem in generality, like with movies.
That's what I was
going to
say.
Yeah.
The problem is, and this is going to sound really shitty, doing this consumer forward thing of like making everything available and just making things as frictionless as possible, and all you can eat buffet style attitude towards the consumer is great for the consumer. But it destroys the industry. You know, like you hear Matt Damon talking about how they can't make a lot of movies these days because the types of movies that would be fun to make would make their money off of DVD sales. That doesn't happen anymore. Literally, all this comes back to, all of this, the dominoes can all be reversed in time to be set back up, leads all the way back to Netflix. Where Netflix, they were... DVDs in the mail, right? You could rent DVDs in the mail, and I think I still have a couple of those actual sleeves somewhere in a box because I thought it was funny to keep them. They start off with that. When they started in the streaming thing, the thing that they looked at was HBO. HBO, for people that don't know, used to be, and still kind of is. No, it's HBO Max again.
I know.
They went back. But HBO it used to be only a premium cable channel that you had to pay money for. And it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money.
At the time, I remember I maybe knew one out of like maybe what felt like
and they had a lot of money.
And they were always rich.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And guess what? The programs that HBO made cost a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, I loved Mr. Show, the sketch comedy that was expensive as hell to do. But obviously, like you have like The Sopranos and all of like The Wire and all these very expensive endeavors that were only possible to make because subscribing to HBO took in so much money because it was very expensive. But then like normal people got to then buy the DVD set later, right? It was able to watch it later. It was subsidized by the rich. Right? Now, hold on a second. What Netflix wanted was, hey, how do we differentiate ourselves? Because they started, just taking anything they can take to put up on their streaming services. Anything, rom-com, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then once they have all that there, how do they... We need to have original content on there. And the literal verbatim phrase was, we need to become HBO before HBO can become us. or instead of us, maybe they said Netflix. But the idea of like, we need to be making HBO caliber content on here before any of the other networks, and especially HBO, can become a streaming service. Doing that first. So then what happens is you're Netflix, and you go to your investors and potential future investors and be like, hey, we're going to disrupt the market. We're going to disrupt the market. The entire world is going to crumble beneath us, and we are going to become victorious. Give us money. Here's how. Because all they're all going to pay is $7 a month or whatever it was at the time, because that just keeps going up and up and up, and there's a reason why. The reason is because there's no one else to subscribe, so they have to make money off of the people that they're already charging.
Right. Everyone either has it or doesn't at this point.
we're gonna give audiences a low starting fee, and then they're gonna be able to watch premium stuff, and because of that, they're never going to leave, and they're going to tell their friends, and then other new people are going to sign up. We project this many billions of subscribers and watch hours and blah 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 blah. So they're able to pay for HBO caliber content production from investment money that's coming in. Not money off of subscribers. They were in the hole for years. But because new money coming in from investors, because they promised one day we're going to become kings of the world, that's how they were able to pay for all that stuff. And then, oh my God, Hulu's like, well, we could do that too. And then Apple's like, well, we have no ideas for anything. Watch, phone, we got to do that too. And then, networks are like, the rest of the story. Everyone is becoming Netflix. HBO became Netflix. But the problem is all of these companies are trying to do HBO caliber content for TBS level funding.
Right.
And that's how you get Stranger Things, a show that took 10 years, I think almost, to finish, 40 episodes? And they're not even that good.
I watched the first two, and I liked it, and then I just never
productions.
Yeah,
I watched the first 3 seasons, and then when when the stinger at the third one was like, what's his name is in Russia as like a captive, I'm like, who gives a fuck? I don't know. I liked when it was just scary monsters. I don't know, whatever.
Scary monsters in a small little town with these.
But there's
fun,
so many
fun
of those,
storylines.
and then all these Netflix shows are of these again. HBO caliber productions that get one season and they get canceled because they need to have Game of Thrones level viewership in order to sustain themselves, because goddamn, why would we do this? All that stuff, and that trickles into music, because Spotify, is basically the Netflix of music in that sense, and they found a different way, again, having their board of directors be all of the record labels, is a way to be able to not have to pay for the content, to then have TBS levels of I don't know, production, if that makes sense, for HBO levels of money incoming. And then we get into the Xbox Game Pass style stuff, where it's like, hey, this does not pay for anything. This is just a way to get users, and that didn't work. And oh my God, we spent $70 billion to buy
bucks.
Call of Duty's publisher, which makes maybe a little over $1 billion in revenue a year, which is a lot. But hey, Satya Nadella doesn't want to wait 70 years to make his money back from this investment in buying Activision.
Line must
so
go
now we
up
got to change
now.
everything.
Yeah.
Which means, hey, again, you're the CEO of one of these big companies, and you're like, oh my God, the investors want to see line go up all the time. Maybe you're a decent person who actually loves the industry you're in, like a Phil Spencer, but you have to make all the bad calls. You have to make the calls that no one wants to do. Firing 1,900 Microsoft employees across every division, right? You have to do all these things, but maybe you're actually a good person deep down that loves the industry that you're a part of. Well, the easiest way to turn a profit is to reduce your expenses. And guess what investors are? Not people that love the industry that you're in. They're in the industry of making money, and that's it, right? So they look at, let's say, music production and video games and movies as how many person per hour per budget, whatever figure we want to say, money just in general, is needed to make thing. Well, what if we cut some of these expenses, aka people, and then you have all that talent drain, and then blah blah blah. But yeah, so I blame Netflix for literally everything that comes down to this, because Amazon was the company that did start the whole disruption by just burning money and just telling investors you're going to change the world, and that's how you turn profit. That's what OpenAI is doing right now to the government and Microsoft and all these companies. Or like when they project that next year they are going to be down, like losing $14 billion. Like their own projections are like, we're going to lose $14 billion next year. Like, not even talking about, like, stuff that they're spending and then they're making money. No, their entire revenue is negative $14 billion as a projection for next year. But we're so necessary. Like, that's that mindset
we're
everyone
inevitable.
Gets into.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, they've forced their hand into being, like, there's no way to go back. When I said earlier about how the convenience to consumers is what destroys the industry, there's no way to go back to renting movies at Blockbuster and convincing people, yep, you're going to spend more for less, and that's good. There is no going back. There's no way to go back unless there is what you said, a collapse, kind of like the housing crisis, where well, now we got to start from zero. And I'm sorry, guys, this is the way it has to be. We have to charge a lot for a little. That's the only way, is for everything to fall. And that's not fun, because then a lot of people don't get to have thing that they like. You know what I mean? It's like when people want to be like, there's way too many people on the planet. We need to have a starvation thing, and
environmental
to call people, like,
fascism,
weird, creepy people that like are like fantasize about, but not them personally. And they love Thanos clicking his finger like an idiot.
It won't happen to me,
like,
though.
They wouldn't disappear, or their family. You know what I mean?
Right. Everyone I know and love will be okay.
None of their favorite superheroes.
Everything will happen in the global south, so I don't have to worry about it. I mean, that is literally the attitude towards just climate change in America in general. It's like, well, I don't have to change my, I'm not saying us, but like the general public. I don't have to demand anything out of my government. My government even doesn't even acknowledge it anymore, because I probably won't experience anything, at least in maybe my lifetime.
And what can I do?
That's the attitude. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, everything's a commodity. Everything can be sold, and when you have that logic and that system in place, things like art or doing a podcast for the sake of the art aspect of it feels unnecessary or unimportant unless you're making money, which goes back to one of my first points earlier, which is, if you're going in with that thing, one, you're probably not an artist, and two, it's not going to work that way unless you're really lucky and schemy and probably a shitty person who uses generative AI, for example, is a perfect example of that, where it's like, oh, I don't look at art as art, I look at it as a way to help my bank account grow, or me make some extra money. That's why I use generative AI.
Like, I would love for everything that we do to make money, but like, if that was the only goal, I would have stopped forever ago, because we're not making money. You know what I mean? But and hey, there might be a video game that no one else knows, seemingly, but us, that we've played for years, that I notice has some generative AI art in now.
Oh, Warzone.
Starts with a W.
Is it Warzone?
Yeah.
I think I noticed that the one day. But
we'll talk about that later. But which is, but it makes sense. It falls in line, sadly. But hey, I don't know this for a fact. I looked at a screenshot I took of something. And I'm like, this looks it.
And that's what's also shitty, is that things are getting better in that aspect of harder to notice. And I think it goes back to your mentioning of how these companies have sold themselves as I'm inevitable, and that has fucking worked towards with generative AI specifically.
Oh my god! Because all it takes is for one of these hucksters to be like, "Well, I mean, it's going to happen. Like, it is
literally
just gonna
I mean, like,
what do you mean it is just gonna happen?
Everyone I've talked to at like work, where we're like, not us directly, but there's people at work who are system wide just saying, hey, we're going to do this generative AI for this specific thing, and we looked into it, blah blah. We're always looking to use resources that are on the forefront of blah 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 blah, all that bullshit.
Hey, you're a bad producer if you're not researching everything and seeing,
Right. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Right. And it's just like the always the like attitude towards it at this point, and this is why that is even I hope it's like NFTs and it just goes away. I hope it's like crypto.
They went away so quickly relative to this, though. It's just, and
because
it's because
the market,
because there's so much money being put into it from investment companies, where it's like, hey, Microsoft can't have OpenAI fail. You know, like they actually kind of own the IP of all the stuff that OpenAI has made, because they need so much money from Microsoft, and the government is using, you know, Mecha Hitler, the anime lady, Grok thing, apparently now in the Department of Defense or something like that.
Whatever.
They've managed to make it integral, whereas NFTs were like, what if thing that is actually practically horrible as an alternative to a thing that is just fine, could be better, but not in this way. And it's extremely expensive, and it's hard to actually tell people what it could be useful for. So the problem with AI, with this generative AI stuff, is that looking at like the ads for them, there's an Apple ad that has gone around of a dude at work, just clearly not working, but also not like fit for the environment. Like he's whatever everyone else around him is actually competent and capable of doing their thing, and he's just kind of fumbling around. And he like ask Apple Intelligence on his phone to do something, and that just is all he needed to do. And it's like, oh, okay, so your customers are idiots, right? Like, well, that's the kind of like mentality about that is.
I'm just
but
saying,
like it's that pitch of like, in these types of pitches, it's easy to be like, look, it can do this. It's like, oh, okay, but like that's a toy. Right? Like, none of this actually is useful. It's a toy. I remember when it made goofy photos, and then like that was fun. But like being able to be like, yeah, it's going to schedule out everything in your life, and it's going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to ask it this, and it's gonna. But it's not, though. And none of these companies. Ed Zitron has a newsletter called "Where's Your Ed At," where he goes into all of this stuff, and I've been subscribed to that newsletter forever, and it's really good. And he has a podcast as well. So he obviously is much more capable of describing this better. But like looking into what these AI companies are doing now, what they want to invest in, how much money they need, how much money they say that they will lose themselves, and then also just being like, yeah, and it will just work. But like they also don't have anything that they can say that it will do that is useful, let alone what it can do to make the money back. Right? Like, how do you charge for any of this in any way that it will become like, yep, this is like buying an iPhone. This is how an entire company is propped up of products that are sold. Like, how do you do all this? And so we have this gigantic, literal $1 trillion sinkhole in our government and our economy right now due to this AI craze. That's why it won't go away, unfortunately, anytime soon, is because there's too much money on the line. There's too much literal skin in the game. Whereas like NFTs were just a joke that like people were using to try to scam other people, you know?
Yeah, and it was mostly like middle to small businesses doing it to, like you said,
costs us our environment. So
yeah, I mean, outside of all the just clearly environmental, like if climate change isn't already like already happening, I mean, already is happening, has been happening, it's being expedited because of this goal for, well, I need my iPhone to tell me when to wake up in the morning at the perfect time.
Could have done that a decade ago, man.
Just use an alarm clock it has AA batteries, or just wake up when you want. Who cares? But no, like I said, like the feel it, because of how much money and how much marketing and everything is around it. Even people who are skeptical of it, the attitude is that it's inevitable, and that fucking sucks because it isn't. It isn't inevitable. We can decide what we want to do. Not everything that is just because technology is expanding doesn't mean it's all the correct way to do it or the right use for it. I've never been against AI. It's like, what is its goal and purpose? Its goal and purpose is to, one, make money, of course, but what its effects are is that loss of the arts. Like art is already on I feel like an all-time like low, because capitalism only cares about art in the sense of how can it be commodified. And if it isn't being commodified, like we're talking about earlier, person's like, I want to just crochet for myself, And, there is a societal pressure to be like, well, if you're not making money, you're wasting your time. Like, why do anything if it's not going to make you money? And that's always a pressure on all of us. That's some pressure on even that's why billionaires exist, because they have the society pressure. I don't want to humanize them like too much, but like they do have a pressure on themselves to be like, I must keep accruing, because if I'm not, I'm a failure and I'm not setting up generational wealth for my kids. Or what if something, there's a pressure on them as well. It's on everybody in certain degrees. And generative AI is a good example of where we need to this is a cool thing that we can market to like the general consumer. Like your phone. It's now a phone is a necessity at this point, which fucking sucks. I've mentioned it on this podcast before. I mentioned it in my fucking therapy where I'm like, one of my life goals is to fucking throw this shit into a lake and have a landline again and be like, if you want to talk to me, you can contact me during my business hours. You know what I mean? Like, Like, there's a level of like, we only were told that this is the way to go because companies decided that way. Samsung, Apple.
But even back in 2007, like not this specific model, but I had the second iPhone, the iPhone 3G, and I had the third and the fourth one. But like back then, it was like, oh, you can see the reflection of us on the monitor. Like there was like, oh, this can do things, and you want those things done. Oh God, it's so tired. I'm so tired. This does things that are useful, that you can see yourself being like, yeah, I like that. Guess what? One of the first things that like the iPhone was like, yeah, it was an iPod, and it's you can access the internet with which is like the main thing that we're talking about for this, and it is a phone. But like one thing that it did very useful that like I don't know for a fact was available in any other types of phones, cell phones certainly not, was, hey, your voicemail is selections. It isn't just a linear list that you have to listen through or hit next, because you're listening to it. Like you can just see them all. Like that type of thing. Like so many things that the iPhone was initially was like, cool, that's when it was exciting for a lot of people. Of course, that was when we were in high school and we didn't have like responsibility, like, rent and all that stuff, where like you could in theory save up your money for a new iPhone and feel like, yeah, that was worth it. Now, I mean, this is like 3 or 4 years old. I don't ever see myself changing it until it breaks, because I don't care, because it went from being super useful to like, well, now it's kind of just leveled out, because what else is new? Yeah. The last 2 inventions, honest to God, from the tech industry has been Facebook and the iPhone, because everything else is either an iPhone or is Facebook. Yeah. Think about it. Yeah. And like they want AI to be that new thing, but it's just a combination of the two. And you see all these college kids who are relying on it too much. It's like, great,
but to be fair to them,
entering professional fields. We have people entering professional fields that don't that. And I know, I'm not one of these people, so where am I to sit here? I don't have a degree like that. But there are too many of these kids that are not actually learning the thing because they don't need to. And I understand there's well, you had a computer and I didn't, and I had to write my essay, and you had the luxury of the internet to research things, and I get it, there's an entire lost art of
there's still critical thinking. If you're only able to think about what prompt you need to put in, rather than how do I create my own original ideas of something I want to talk about, versus hey, like we could never have to think for this podcast, right? We could theoretically go in Chat GPT right now and be like, give us 20 episodes for the next 20 weeks here about Sonic movie that we can do. And then we just and we just pick. We don't have to think.
That's what YouTube wants to recommend to us all the time.
Yeah,
is stuff like that, and it's sad.
And so it's like at your job is like you can be like, I don't need to learn how to write. I can just learn how to prompt, which I don't think is
sad.
Which isn't good for the long-term health of humanity.
They've done studies on some of the brains of some of these people, and they are getting dumber because they are getting too reliant on not thinking. And it sounds. You said old man yells at clouds. We sound so fucking boomer coded by saying that.
I know.
By saying these kids aren't thinking for themselves. we're 30. What the fuck are we talking? I get all of that, but still, like, this is breeding I don't even want to say breeding a culture of people, because it sounds so.
No, it is creating a culture of
podcast of people not thinking for themselves in legitimate ways. Like, we are already at a point where, like, hey, I get it. All the successful movies are the ones that are franchises and sequel series, and the lowest common denominator is how you actually get people to want to watch the next one, and blah, blah, blah. I get all that aside. But even the most dumb and stupid Ghostbusters or Jurassic World and Marvel movie thing, they do have writers on those movies that do want to have something to say. Whether it's executed well or not, who cares? But, like, there is always something to think about. Whether it's even all that interesting, there is always something, and there are movies that do much better, like, have much deeper things going on, and blah, 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 whatever. You know what I'm talking about. But that critical thinking, that media literacy, is just not, like, I don't want to say it's not, like, there, but it is, in a way, it's just not there in some people's brains, where they just don't even realize that is a realm of thought to have on the things that they consume, honestly, at this point, right?
No, it is.
And that sounds so pretentious and like, I'm a smart man and you're not. I think I've read this on Twitter, and this is sad, but I don't listen to Chapo Trap House or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I know who they are. Yeah,
but I guess one of them on there said that if you can read an entire novel, you are most likely in the top 1% of intelligence in this country. And just in terms of being able to make it through that on your own terms and be able to think about what was in there.
What were the themes? What was the plot?
Books are
what was
honestly
the characters?
still one of the most, like, frictionful entertainment mediums, because it's all on you to do it. Video games are more similar to books than they are to movies and television, but books are still like, hey, you got to actually be thinking. You cannot just glaze.
And I know it's affected me, because I always say I have too much TikTok brain, and that's what scares me a lot too with this phone addiction, is like, I'm afraid to have a kid and have to, like, try my best to tell him, I can't disallow you not to have access to a phone or the internet. But, like,
you don't want to turn into one of those weird people who's like, yeah, I don't know what any contemporary music is because my dad wants me to listen to the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, like,
and that's what I like now.
And, like, or that,
in terms of technology,
or that everyone in their school or whatever is gonna want to have.
They're all playing Roblox, and my kid isn't, because I know Roblox is an evil company that is a sweatshop that runs children into the ground for pennies.
But just like it's
also ugly.
You don't want to deny them the social experience. Like, they have to grow up with their peers. Like, everyone has to go through.
We are not parents, so, like, you know. Yeah. But I would do the screen time thing.
I know.
I never had it.
I had it growing up, and I know it. On one hand, I hated it, and I think
I hated it for you,
but
I would argue it wasn't done how I would do it. At the very
I know.
Least,
me and my mom have talked about it in retrospect, being like, "Oh, I think I was too hard on you on some aspects," but also one thing I've learned is that parents aren't perfect. There's never gonna be a perfect parent. You're gonna fuck up.
I realized that a few years ago. Yeah, when I was like, oh, at the age I am now. Back when my mom was the age I am now, I was like 8. So yeah, I forgive you for, like, everything.
Yeah,
like, not that it really, like, bothers me now. It's still, but like yeah, whatever. Like, I get it.
Yeah, and right, with all that in mind, it's like I'm scared of that challenge of, like, how do I tell my kid, and not I don't want to be the doomer, like, oh, your generation is gonna live through a lot of bullshit, and I'm sorry that's the case, but also, like, I don't want to, like, be like, hey, you can't use a phone, but also, like, how do you tell me, like, this thing is like cigarettes, it will become an addiction, and you have to recognize that and know how to limit yourself to it. I know everything around you is going to tell you it's fine, it's okay, but, like, the cell phone industry is the cigarette industry in our modern times. I 100% think that, and generative AI is part of that. It's like putting, oh, guys, now we can smoke.
It's attention, right?
Now we can put it's like when cigarettes put the filters on, they're like, oh, it's better for you. Like, that's what AI is, basically, in the sense of, in this digital world. It's like, it's Diet Coke, it's, guys,
or like vapes.
You don't have to spend so much time at work on the screen, because you can have the AI do it for you. Also, don't think about anything ever besides watching Friends on Netflix this Friday night. Not saying that's bad, by the way. Like, I hope that
Which
doesn't.
is now 50 years old in this future.
But just like you're right with like the media literacy. There's a difference between media literacy and like misinformation or distrust. Like those things are all in the same kind of spherical brains that we all have, or the spherical like ideas, right? Of like I know a lot of people who are like I only watch this channel, right? Because I trust them, as opposed to I watch all of these things, but I have media literacy enough to know what is the end goal of this message. Who's I mean, obviously the Palestine thing has been the biggest example of this in the last 2-3 years. But we grew up in a 9/11 world where I thought we all learned from that like, oh, or people did learn from it, but they took the wrong actions from it, which is
history is also easily forgotten by people, you know what I mean?
Or if they remember it, they're like, I learned after 9/11 the government's untrustworthy. So what do I do instead? So now I only listen to Joe Rogan versus I still pay attention and I'm very critical of it. And I have the media literacy to remember, okay, what is America's motives in our actions when we go here, when we invade this country? Or what is this billionaires, why is Amazon breaking up this strike as opposed to what the media is doing?
Looking back in recent history and learning things that happened within the decade before you were born, or, you know, more likely, you know, you were born, you were alive, but like a child, you know, it is an ask. It's a task. It's a lot. You know what I mean? I get it. And like, again, I can't blame people for not wanting to engage with a lot of that stuff. But even just like politics aside, when you look at like I guess this would be a media literacy thing, but looking at like creation of entertainment stuff, there are so many people that like, I don't know how to explain it, but they don't know how any of this stuff is made. They don't understand the production of how it all happens. And so, like, when they see something like, oh, I don't know, Robert Downey Jr. cast as Dr. Doom, they just, like, think that was the plan all along from the beginning. Like, they do stuff like that. And it's, I don't know, maybe that's a weird example to think of, to kind of bring up. But, like, there'll be people who are like, oh, this was always the case here, or this or that, or this. Like, they just take things at face value and just always assume. Like, I don't know how many times we're like, I've seen people talk about a new Nintendo game made by Nintendo, and the way they describe the Nintendo game is just by saying other Nintendo game that already exists. Oh, or like they say what they want from a new Nintendo game is usually like, I want the this from this, and the this from this, and the this from this. That is my perfect new Mario game. But, like, that's not how that works. But they think that's kind of how that works. I'm probably not explaining this very well.
No, you're
well,
saying,
this is kind of like,
maybe let me,
but like,
I can try it. Do you want
people aren't able to imagine something new. And yeah, that was the old Steve Jobs thing of like, people don't know what they want until they have it. I get it. And that is just how it works with sequels and stuff like that. Where it's like, oh, when this game or this movie or whatever is ended, all I want was the follow up to that, and it takes time and distance to be like, no, I'm glad I'm never getting the follow up to that because I want to see what the creator does next with something else. Stuff like that builds, or you know, like I talk all the time about like, I think Kojima is brilliant. I think a lot of his games are really brilliant. I think a lot of what makes those games brilliant were not intended, right? Metal Gear Solid 2 is the closest any video game will ever be, probably, to becoming postmodern. None of that was intended. He intended other things that were adjacent and were cool and thoughtful, like memes being the theme of that game, right? But that game being almost postmodern, and it is not literally, but like almost, is just the ways it is by happenstance and how you can interpret that, right? You can, but like there'll be people that will look at that and be like, all of this was intended. All this is exactly the way it is, because they don't know how the stew is made, if that makes sense, how the sausage is made. I mean, and they don't see how that creative, because like, you know, like, again, you and I live in our own personal worlds where it is hard to imagine not being someone who is creative and wants to make things and is interested in how that is done, like how people make things and how, and like beginning that like nerdy like enthusiasm for learning how someone thought to do a thing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It's like watching
learning...
I loved watching the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings growing up. I probably watched that just as much as the actual movies because I was so intrigued about like, well, how did they do this? Or like, what was Peter Jackson think? Even at the age of like 12, when I didn't fully understand everything, and I still don't understand every little thing about movie production, but like, there was like you said, just a natural fascination if you're for like how things made, like if you're a creative person.
I remember watching so many old Giant Bomb videos, features, and streams and whatnot, and being so fascinated with how they put it all together. Like, is that multiple cameras, or is it just the same camera and they're just doing multiple takes for it? Or like, what is this gigantic fancy equipment? How does this work? It like all that stuff like is just super fascinating to me even now still, and like that helps me learn and grow within the kind of stuff I like to do. And hey, guess what? Learning how a movie is made, learning how your favorite movie is made, and not just like the fun trivia of yes, he broke his toe when he kicked the helmet, which is, I still love that factoid, and I love being that guy for Fast and Furious 2, aka Too Fast, Too Furious. Just very funny and stupid to be, but that helps you then understand other things that you could like or do like, or like, oh, well, if this is how a movie is made, and these are how these decisions are made. Or like in the realm of video games, hey, guess what? At least a third of every AAA video game is canceled before it's even announced. I threw that figure out of my ass, but that's what it feels like, if not higher. You know what I mean? I just finished Jason Schreier's book, which came out last year, or maybe it was a late 2023 book, all about the history of Blizzard. And there was stuff in there I did not know about projects that got brought up and canceled. There was a Rust-like game that they were making recently, like as a couple years ago, that got canceled.
Damn.
And just all this type of stuff. Number of times I wanted to make a StarCraft first-person shooter or third-person shooter, that type of thing. And like getting really fascinated about like the business of how that company worked and how it's different from others is what I got the most out of that. Not necessarily like, oh, like, reading the fun, like, feelings about people that talk about, finishing World of Warcraft and what that was like, and did they know? I like learning about all the business of how that stuff is, because that's not something I know, you know what I mean, too much about, like, how much did it cost to do this? How, like, hey, you have all these QA testers and you're telling, some of them like, hey, you can move up into development roles. You don't have to be stuck down here in the lowest rung in the, non-skilled labor side of our company. You can move up, and well, when you offer that up, then some of these people work harder, and then like, hey, and then they get promoted into some of these designer roles, but you're not paying them all that well because you don't have that degree. You kind of just, loved Blizzard enough, and now you're here, and all that stuff is just very fascinating to learn about how all these companies work. But like, learning some of that stuff then allows me, whether it be in a curated and well-researched book that was done, or whether it be, doing own research by finding testimonials from even some angry devs on Twitter and whatnot, learning how the sausage is made through video games helps me both critically examine video games that do come out, because guess what? These feature sets in this video game, whether it be God of War 2018 is a good example of like a game that was utter shit until like 3 months before they were done because they had just found the fun in the last second, or how Shuya Yoshida said this game is bad, essentially to them. He was in charge of all of PlayStation's video games that they would make at the time, and they had to work all that stuff. Then looking at finished products and being like, okay, I can kind of see and understand how they got to this now. But if you don't have any interest in learning about how the sausage is made, you don't see the thing for what it is, if that makes sense. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, but I mean for the audience.
Yeah. No, I was going to like echo a bit on one of your earlier points, which was like the idea that everything has got to come from one direct thing, and it goes back to influences where like, but it isn't like always an active thing. Like it could just be like, oh, I made this, and then someone might point out, oh, that was a lot like this. I'd be like, oh yeah, I can see that. Maybe I do like that other thing that you like pointed to, but that wasn't like an active thing. Some things that just happens naturally. Like I think music once again is like a good example of that, where it's like you said, my favorite drummer's favorite drummer or whatever, is the Rush, or whatever. And then probably for that some jazz guy that we don't know the name of, unless you're really into that. And that's something I've always been into with like music side is like I watch all the behind the scenes studio stuff of my favorite bands and see how because I'm very intrigued, like what is that experience like literally like assuming you're a master of your instrument or have pretty good talent in that regard, but like there's still like sometimes a producer involved. Sometimes bands produce without a producer, and that becomes, how does that work? Like, is it one guy?
Sometimes your producer doesn't know how to use the audio software that you're using, and so therefore all of your pop songs from the late 2000s all have the same beats per minute. Katy Perry,
yeah, that's like
which is a true story.
Yeah, that's just really funny. But like once again, it might be going in being like, well, yeah, these are my influences, but like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just this looks cool, or this sounds cool, or this is cool. Sometimes it's really as bare bones as that.
And music's a very personal thing. Like, I will listen to an album and certain songs, and like I'll see, like in my mind, whether my eyes are closed or not, whatever, like colors and, vague feelings, right? And that, no pun intended, colors how I view both that song. And then later when I'm creatively thinking about something, that influence from the song is more than just the song. It is, I guess, my interpretation of that feeling of it as well. And when you get people making a movie or a video game, you got all these people, each in their own role, collaborating, and sometimes you have multiple people on a team. They're all doing the same type of idea. They are all thinking about the thing that they're doing with that different color in their mind, right? And that collaboration, that combination of all those colors makes it beautiful, whatever. I didn't mean to be fruity about that, but like that's how it is. It isn't a machine type of thing. Like, or it isn't even just like, hey, it takes 60 people to make an Uncharted, let's just say, from the cheap, right? And 15 people in this, 20 people there. I mean, we need 2 guys marketing. We need 3 producers because this is expensive. Blah blah blah. Like, that is chop. And then you start to cut costs and you move people away, or like production companies and movies. Cutting the excess people and hopping between all these different people when the talent isn't there the whole time for multiple projects. Then it doesn't feel like anything evolves or anything like that. Like you're not growing. I don't know. Like people, hey, older than us and our age as well. You ask them who's your favorite video game company. It's a good 6 out of 10 times they're gonna say Nintendo. And guess what Nintendo has? Employee retention. There are people that have been working with each other for decades. You know what that means? When they come up with a problem in their production, they have experience and they know who they can talk to if they don't, right? They know how to collaborate. They know how each person thinks. They know how each people works. They're able to do things more efficiently. And guess what? That makes more money and is faster in the long run, but it's cheaper to fire people and just have people be, because yes, there is a minimum number of people that can make an Assassin's Creed, right? And it doesn't, if there's a formula for an Assassin's Creed, you don't need too many, old heads to make it, that know each other to make it. You can throw people on a spreadsheet and make an Assassin's Creed. You can throw people on a spreadsheet and make a Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? You can do that. But if the same people making the Jurassic Park are the same people who made the last one and the one before and the one before and maybe other movies in between that were not Jurassic Park, then guess what? You got something that might be interesting, that might be more alive feeling than your paint by numbers. I didn't see this Jurassic World and I didn't see the previous ones. So that's just an example.
No, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, whether it's good or bad, art, whatever, good or bad, I'd rather have it exist than go back to our main point with generative AI doesn't have the 10 people in the writer's room fighting it out over which character is going to do this in the story. Even if it's the worst plot, you know, we've watched some garbage video game movies on this channel outside of Postal, and when I mean Postal, I mean Uwe Boll. Like, I'm glad that, you know, it exists. Because guess what? It entertained us. We talked about it. We enjoyed it. Even if it was, or maybe if we didn't enjoy it, we still had a conversation about it. And that's that's part of the human experience. You know what I mean? Being like, the caveman in us was looking at the stars and we were like, yo, sure, it's pretty sick that this star looks like this. Or I disagree. That star doesn't look as cool as the other star. You know what I mean?
Their perspectives on those stars were a little bit different because they were seeing a different shape because they were looking at a slightly different, you know, spot in the sky, thinking the other guy was looking at that spot when he was looking at the spot next to it. Yeah. And, you know, and
that makes it cool. At the end of the day, that is the human experience. That's what, like, aggravates me the most out of, like, AI. To take out all the other environmental factors, the labor factors, just the old ethics of it. I mean, I guess this arguably is an ethical thing, but, like, it's artificial intelligence. It's telling you how to feel versus coming up with your own opinions. Not even when you watch a movie review from us, I hope that you don't be like, that is now my opinion. Even if you agree with everything, I think that's another habit, going back to media literacy. We have a habit of, CNN tells me this, how to feel on this subject, I'm going to feel that way. Or
this person
streamer
says this
tells
about
me
this
that
video game, and
this streamer tells me this. Whatever it is.
How many video games, classic video games, are considered bad because, like, Angry Video Game Nerd and all the people that ripped him off said it was bad in a very, like, maybe not all that serious, but, like, goofy, like, production or whatever, and therefore it becomes mimetic. Through time, I was like, yep, this game's terrible. And you play it and it's like, it's fine. It's as fine as games that aren't labeled as bad. Yeah. You know? But, like,
or another kind of on the
face value
thing. To spin it a bit, like, Tyler, the Creator, the rapper, which I need to listen to his new album, which I was surprised he's doing one back to back. And usually he was on the Fast and Furious timeline, so he's now broken that. So maybe we're never getting Fast 11. I don't know. But anyways, if it ends
his career, I think it'd be worth it.
He did tweet out, like, or he retweeted, like, a clip he did in an interview where people were asking, like, oh, what's your top 5, like, artists that, like, for you? And he's like, oh, I hate that shit. Like, he was saying, like, he's like, especially from fans, like, there is always this, going back to, like, the classics, it's like, hey, it's okay to also be like, my top 5 things, video games right now are Fortnite, Roblox, Fall Guys,
sure,
Call of Duty, and NBA 2K. And be like, I can disagree with that, but it's okay. If that is what is your top 5, that's okay. And he also argued, it's like, everyone forces themselves to put, I need to put one of the Wu-Tang albums in there because I'm not honoring the old head. He's like, it's okay to, like, if all your top 5 is, like, current, or if it's something from 1930, you know. And I'm like, I agreed with what he said there, because I was like, that's true. It's like, even I find myself being like, when I rewatched Jaws a couple months or last month, and, you know, I'm on my Letterboxd being like, do I give this a 5? I think I did give it a 5, just because I'm like, it's a classic and it holds up pretty well, but it's like, isn't as enjoyable maybe as something I watched this year. Maybe not, but that's
seen as a pretentious whack off for being like, it's not amazing. It's right. just fine.
So it's like, I'm also like, on Letterboxd, I've given up on, like, following too strict of a system and be like, I just go off and like, this is in its own bubble, this is a 5. And sure, this 5 might be different than this 5, or this 4.5 might be different than this 5. You know what I mean? Maybe this 4.5 is actually weighs more than this 5 on this movie. But just, like, that goes back to just, how are you engaging with the art? I only want to use the word consume, because that once again is like content creation, and, like, I hate that word, those 2 words now. Everything, because it also has this implication of a commodity, where it's like, no, it's art. How do you engage with the art? How do you engage with your friends or family members?
It might be low art like this, what we've done for the past 3 hours, but
the Joe Rogan, the S-Rank, or no, the Sonic Movie Show experience, the happening. But no, I mean, that goes back to, like, like, yeah, we recorded this episode for 3 hours because we wanted to, and it is what it's going to be. People, someone might watch the first 30 seconds and be like, "What the fuck this?" Someone might watch the whole thing and be like, "Oh, it was all right," or someone might watch the whole thing and be like, "Oh, that was their best episode." Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? And like,
Sure,
that is missing from the generative AI aspect, or the media literacy of the internet. And like once a year we have like a big conversation about the internet, because I think at least for me, I feel like I'm always like that struggle for the past, like, oh man, it was better back then in some ways, but of course there's some negative, like there is some great things about living in
there's a lot of
2025.
conveniences right now, yeah, for sure.
But,
and that's decoupling that from all of the bad shit is almost impossible. You know, like again, talking about like, hey, you want the movie industry to be healthier, we have to destroy the commodity of all you can eat streaming services, and there's no way you put that genie back in the bottle without utter destruction on everything. Yes. You know what I mean? And then almost kind of be like, well, we kind of have to start from expensive things for, you know, whatever. I said that already. It's a similar thing to,
or
to what
I
you're
think
saying,
we have
right,
too many
with the internet.
franchises, not enough original works. But then I do love my Godzilla. I do love my Jurassic Park, even if it is bad. I'd rather be dinosaur on big screen. Sometimes it's simple like that, and that's okay, you know. But like, there isn't like just going back to what you said. Like there's only like everything's a commodity, and like I try to fight that personally. Of like, I don't try to look at shit like that, but we all have capitalism brain rot. I don't care where you're on the spectrum. We all have it. We all are fighting it on a daily basis. I was critiquing the phone and be like, I wish I could throw this in the lake. But you know what would happen if I did that? I wouldn't be able to do this podcast probably as easily. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of other things, right? Going back to there's some benefits of it. But yeah, we're probably, I don't know how many people think as deeply as we do about this shit, but
yeah,
I don't know. I hope there is someone out there, or there's people passionate about it. I don't know.
We're going to wrap up soon, but I have a personal anecdote that I think it works out for this. So recently, I've been actually kind of through this Blizzard book, being like, man, World of Warcraft was so cool to like, you know, hearing about how it started out and what that experience feeling is like. And we played RuneScape personally back in the day, and there was RuneScape, old school RuneScape or classic original. And a year ago, I did a stream. Actually, a year and a half ago, I did a stream on that, and then actually kind of kept playing that for a bit and eventually stopped. But hearing, you know, about early World of Warcraft made me think of another MMO that I never played before. That like. It's on my bucket list of like, no, I really got to do this as a fan of the franchise. That's Final Fantasy 11. And I had purchased it on
I've
Steam.
wanted to try that at some point just to fuck around and, you know what I mean, see what it's like.
And I really want to do it so much so that I actually, because I had purchased it on Steam, and like basically for it's just a $30 and you get all of the expansions. However, it is a monthly subscription as well. I want to say it was $15 a month. But I'm on a 30-day trial. But also, you have to pay per month for every character as well, which is $1 character. So it's actually $16 a month, which is dumb. But anyway, I'm like, okay, cool, I want to play this. And I know that they've changed the game to make it solo possible, because it was a pre-World of Warcraft MMO, which basically meant you cannot do it by yourself. Every piece of content in the game is going to require cooperation from a bunch of people. That's the whole point of these games, after all. So why wouldn't, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I knew it's going to be easier, and, you know, and I booted up on Steam. Like, well, should I download the standalone client from their website, which is better, because that's what happened with RuneScape. Because I downloaded it through Steam, so I thought, oh, it'll be easier, and then I could never get to run. I'll do all that. No, okay, you can do it through Steam, and then it just, you know, downloads Play Online to Square Enix, or Squaresoft back in the day, owns the domain for playonline.com, and that was basically their BattleNet, in a sense. That was their connective tissue for everything online related for all their stuff. If you bought the strategy guide to a game, it would have a lot of links for more information on playonline.com, that type of stuff. But that was the backbone for Final Fantasy 11. So I booted up. This interface from 2001, this whole process is basically the same. It looks a little bit fresher. The window is still small because it was a low resolution thing, because monitors were lower. This entire process requires 3 unique usernames, each with a password, sometimes one-time passwords each. The whole process is slow to load into these pages to allow you to go into all this stuff. In this process, somehow, I have been unable to get one of the passwords, which, by the way, all 3 of those passwords, I made them the same password. Because why would I make them differently? My Square Enix account, my Play Online account, my Final Fantasy XI character itself needs its own password. It's all the same password, because I don't care. One of them, for whatever reason, isn't working. The whole process. So, and going through this whole thing where it loads me out, slides me out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm having to go through this whole process, and it takes me an hour before I realize I didn't do a capital in one of the versions, and I had reset the thing too many times, so I had to wait because blah, blah, blah. About an hour goes by. Finally, I'm able to play. Game starts, full screen on my main monitor. This, 2001 era CG cutscene about the world and stuff's going on. And then the game crashes because I clicked on another monitor and it lost full screen control and then crashed. Okay, I boot it up again. I log in to play online and I do all this stuff again and blah, 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 blah. I get in the game. I ain't touching shit. As soon as I get control of this game, I'm going in the options and I'm making this a windowed game or borderless full screen so that I can click off, because full screen seems to be doing that. So I'm not touching anything. Something happens. Windows does something, which then counts as it no longer being full screen in the thing, and the game crashes again. I'm still watching this cutscene, and I haven't played it since. But that is an example of something that was full of friction from back in the day that people look on fondly, but doesn't have any of the conveniences of just turning on Fortnite. Because how Fortnite works and how even World of Warcraft now works and all these online things work now are as frictionless as possible to get you in the door so you can spend money. You know what I mean? That is the main goal. But like this old thing that I respect and really want to get into has so much like curmudgeonly frictionful bits and hard edges,
right? And
then it's taking me time to get into on its terms. The terms weren't made for me. You know what I mean? Games, these modern online games, they're made to get you in as easily as possible. They meet you where you are. If you are in a country where most people play games on internet cafes or on mobile, they make versions for you over there because they're trying to reach you as a customer. That is my whole kind of anecdote for this whole thing, where something that I really want to appreciate and do is not easy and is taking time, and there's convenience that is lost on the way going back to do it, but it's worth it. I hope. I'm going to find out. All right. I should click over on the thing here. I have to turn this mouse on. Pretend that was... And now I end my story, and we move over to here. Hello, folks. Yes, there's a button down there that says subscribe. Please click it. This is a long episode, so I hope you watched the whole thing. If you did, congratulations. You know what? Just for you, here is this episode's secret passphrase. Carbon Crab Corona.
Oh,
write that
CCC.
down. You're gonna get quizzed on it later. Only you know.
Yep.
This today's secret passphrase. Carbon Crab Corona. Okay.
Almost
Thank you.
forgot it.
All right, folks. Take care of yourself.
And God
you could
bless,
send us money.
God bless the Sonic movie show and the troops.
Yep, the troops fighting the metal Sonic horde.
In Sonic 4, whenever that comes out.
Amen. Goodbye.
Bye.